challenger, Pong Soul.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Pixelated Echoes. I'm 3-Bit, and we're bound to have like a really awesome show today. As you see, there's three of us here. Cog couldn't make it, but it's we will definitely have another show with him. He's like, we're already kind of trying to reschedule that. But shout out to you, Cog. We love the Iron Lord's Kingdom. You guys mean a lot to the community, so definitely we'll be back on this show. But we're gonna still have a awesome episode. We got Pong here for one. So entering the Pixelated Kingdom. But before we get to them, we always like to start the show with, what are you playing, right? So I've been in a TV show in commercial land. We're launching the next few commercials with the Aflac and Auto Trader and Holiday Inn. I'm working on those commercials. Starting to direct those, so that's a good time. But that means I don't have as much game time, sadly. But I did get a chance to game just a little bit. I've been playing Fallout New Vegas. That's all I've had time to play, and I am having a blast with that. I mentioned on the last show that, like, dang, I'm really liking this game. Like, the graphics are a little bit dated, but that's not bothering me. The characters, the story and stuff, I'm really digging. But without further ado, it's time for the introductions, man. So introducing this man. He promised he would give me royalties for every podcast he featured on, as I am his manager. After introducing him to the one and only PTK Blame, I'm just saying, and he has featured on a multitude of shows, including Double Bear Gaming. He's known for being the host of the PM on the PM show, with the Mavi Wine Cracker Eating Speculator guy over there, and he is the other screen you see on the living split screen with Steel Rain, the one and only Pong Soul. How you doing today, brother? What are you playing? And when can I expect my royalties?
Checks in the mail, brother. Checks
Nice.
In the mail. It's always in the mail. I can't control the U.S. Postal Service. It kind of sucks these days, so it's just slow. It's just slow, man.
Yeah.
It's great to be here, brother. Obviously, always an awesome time to join you, sir, and of course Fuzzy, my other brother from another. But thanks for the invite. Thank you for the awesome intro. Again, shout out to Cog. Again, things come up real life first, obviously, and I hope everything's okay with Cog. And I was looking forward to being on a show with him. But we'll do it again, Cog, sometime, because he hit me up during Easter to be back on Iron Lords, and of course I was going to Mom, so I couldn't join him. So I was kind of looking forward to tonight. But Cog, take care of business, and we'll see you soon, brother. Great to be here. As far as what I've been playing, 3-Bit, like, I'm back in grazing mode. Like, okay, I've now been mentioning it for the past couple of weeks. I finally, like a month and a half, 2 months ago, whatever, I finally got my PC hooked up to my big screen, right? So it brought back some of the ease of use that a console gives me, right? But at the same time, I still don't like PC because you still got to fiddle with things. But as I've used it more and more, I am now living the PC life because I am finding cheap deal after cheap deal after cheap deal. Or we're talking about $1. We're talking about $1.50 for codes for Steam, right? I am now become the master of this. So my library, I'm already over 100 games on Steam right now because I have just been buying all these little tiny games, right? So I've been doing a lot of grazing. I'm not going to bore you guys, obviously, with some of the little first-person shooters that I've been playing or the off-the-wall stuff I've been playing, but most of my time has been Dragon's Dogma 2 still. I'm still rocking and rolling Dragon's Dogma 2. Can't stop playing that game. It's my game of the year 2024. It's going to take a lot this year to beat it. We have some great games coming up, but right now Dragon's Dogma is locked. It's a generational type game. I can't stop playing it. But then I've also jumped back into, of course, Fallout 4 because I had to check out the current gen patch and just see what it was like. And I know there's problems with the current gen patch, but I did buy the Game of the Year edition last year on sale for the Xbox Series X in anticipation that the patch was coming out last year. It never did. Came out this year for, to coincide with the TV show. So here it is. I got to check it out. So I restarted a whole brand new character on Fallout 4 and having a great time. gorgeous, even with the problems that everybody's kind of talked about and dissected. And it is a little strange. Not going to lie. Maybe we'll talk about it tonight. Maybe we won't. But at the same time, does it still look good on the big screen? Hell yeah, it does. Does it look better than it used to? Yeah. Does it perform better? Absolutely, it does. I think, it's an awesome experience. So I'm having fun going back to Fallout 4. And the last game I'll mention is a brand new game that came out last week. That Steele and I actually hopped into last night for a couple hours, almost 3 hours last night. And this is a game that's totally under the radar. You guys probably have not heard of it unless you were following my ex and saw me post about it when I saw it and was like, what is this? How did this come out of nowhere? And why did nobody tell me about it? Right? So there's this game, 3-bit, that came out on Steam called Megaton Musashi W Wired. This, bro, let me tell you something. Now, again, 3 hours in, so take it for what it's worth. Steele and I both picked it up because it is a mech RPG, a mecha RPG. We don't get enough mech RPGs. This is from the legendary developers Level 5. Okay, so you guys have to be old school to remember Level 5, but they are legendary JRPG makers. Okay, this game was on Switch and nobody talked about it. This game was actually a mobile game to start out. This game has 2 seasons of anime that nobody ever talked about. But suddenly it showed up worldwide, and Level 5 said that they are starting a new initiative where they're going to drop their games worldwide now. So it showed up on Steam, and I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me. What is this, and why haven't I heard this? We're talking about full-fledged RPG here. Yes. Does it have the gacha stuff to it? Is it a full-price game? Yes, it is. Okay, it's $50 for the base game, 65 I think it is for the deluxe edition, which comes with tons of stuff. Is it set up kind of like a mobile game? Yes, it is. Do you have daily login bonuses? Yes, you do. Do you have multiple battle passes? Yes, you do. I bought the deluxe edition, so I got all that stuff, right? So it's set up in that way. But the game itself is a full-fledged RPG. It is not a mobile, like it's deeper than I ever thought. Me and Steve were playing together, and you have to play for a while before you open up the co-op multiplayer. There's PvP, there's battle arenas, there's everything with this game. But we were kind of playing through to see if we could get to the co-op action. Now, the co-op, we found out last night, we kind of knew this, but it is set up like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, if anybody knows about that JRPG, where you open up missions as you play the game, and then you can go back and play some of those missions co-op and earn. This game's got a full animated RPG story to it. You get fully from like the actual anime cartoon, you get cutscenes, an actual setup for a lot of the story. Your characters are fully voiced throughout the game. This has all the hallmarks of a classic RPG. Yeah. It is freaking amazing. Then you get to the mechs, bro. And you can customize pretty much everything on the mech. And they have a whole loot system in this game. And when you give me a looter, I'm a happy man. And that's all this game is a looter. So Steele said it is the same in a lot of ways as Gundam Breaker was. So anybody who's played Gundam Breaker, you kind of get the idea of what the battles are like. But he did say that it actually felt a little bit better than Gundam Breaker did. So I got to shout out to Megaton Musashi W Wired. We did not know we were getting into when we got this game, but I got to tell you, both Steele and I were super impressed with our first 3 hours. This is a game I definitely plan on playing some more and keeping playing every day, getting that daily login bonus, all that kind of stuff. So got to give that one a shout out. Again, I got about 15 others I could do right now, but really that's where I'm at. I'm waiting for Ghost of Tsushima to drop May 16th on PC.
Oh, okay.
That is the game I have been waiting for. Is the one game I had FOMO because I sold my PS4 too early. I sold it in preparation of the next gen, wanted to get the max value out of it. And then I never got to play Ghost of Tsushima. And I was like, that's the one PlayStation exclusive game that I really want to play. Now that it's coming to PC, it's already pre-ordered. It's locked in May 16th. That's what I'm jumping into. Sorry, that was long winded, but I always do that. No. But I love talking about my games I'm playing, man.
No, that's sick. That's sick. I'm glad that you're excited for Ghost of Tsushima. Like I really want you to remember what you feel before you play, and then let us know, because when I start playing that game, just because it's so incredible, like
Okay,
The
okay. So, all right.
visuals and how it really just dive, like you feel like a samurai when you play
Yeah.
that game. And I haven't tried out there's like the co-op section of like the DLC that they added in there. I haven't even tried that section. So
Yeah.
I mean, hey, I'm down to actually get that on PC.
All right, get it on PC. Steel's already got locked in. We're all playing it. Obviously, Steel's going to be playing the multiplayer too, so
Yep,
he'll be
yep.
dragging my butt around in there. So, yeah, I can't wait to play that game. It looks gorgeous, man, and I can't wait to see what the PC looks like. Yo,
Yeah.
it's going to be
insane. Cannot forget my co-host, the racing legend, Felix the Cat. He retired and he decided to podcast with me. So the man, the myth, the legend, Fuzzy Belvedere, how you doing today, bud? And what are you playing? What you been up to?
Glad to be here once again. Shout out to Cog. Hope everything's well at home. But we can definitely do that again. Glad we got Pong here, my brother from another. Always glad to be on a podcast with you. And man, always love doing these shows with you, 3-bit. Thanks everybody in the chat. Hit that like button if you haven't already. But as far as what I've been playing, a little bit of everything. Like I'll start off with my usual suspects. You know, a little bit of GT7 here, a little bit of Horizon 5, getting those daily cars or weekly bonuses and things like that. A little bit of Undisputed because I'm trying to get my level up for like some of the banners and things like that. Waiting for them to do a patch to kind of fix some of the bugs since the what do you call it? Career mode. Career mode is awesome, but the announcer sometimes mistakenly says you're the one that got knocked out when the other guy's the one that got knocked out. So they got to fix some of those things, and you'll have the ref sometimes count double. It's like, wait a minute, why is he still counting them up? But outside of those things, still an awesome game. Still like the movement on it. A little more, few things can be tweaked. A few more official boxers would be nice if they can add those in as well. Even if they do it as like microtransactions or DLC, like I still want Tyson in there. I know that's going to be a pretty penny, and we'll see if they ever do a Mayweather or not. It'd be nice if he was interested in being in the game, but I can only imagine the check he would request for that. But and there's a handful more that I'd like to see that are modern day, current WDBC contenders and things. But outside of that, just kind of falling into old games, hitting Fallout 4. Mainly played a lot more before the patch. Haven't quite dived in as much. Like I've gone back to my base since I didn't do a lot of the mods on PC. Nothing seems to be an issue at the moment. But I haven't. I'm working off of the basic Game Pass version as opposed to my Game of the Year edition that I have on Steam. So I'm messing around with that before I can see if I can dive into the files and transfer my save over to the Steam one. But I'll focus on that after they kind of get some of the other bugs or whatever figured out, because I figured they'll probably hit that up in like a month or so. Outside of that, jumped into what do you call it? Kingdom Come Deliverance, mainly because they announced Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is out or coming out later this year. So figured, hop back into one I haven't touched in a while. And while I was on that whole like medieval kick kind of thing, Manor Lords came out and tested that. Having a little difficulty. It's a slow burn. Like sometimes everything works and they're building houses and they're building up the town. And other times they're just like standing around waiting for an ox, and the ox ran away because there's I don't know. So it's got some bugs, but maybe some of it is stuff that I've broken, but because I try to build too many things at once. But still, it's going to be an interesting one because I haven't even gotten to the battle stuff. Just the city builder aspect of it is enjoyable. I can only imagine when you start, making your own militia or hiring a militia, if you can, mine enough gold or silver or something like that. But that one was a lot of fun. And then Tales of Kanzara Zao, tried that on the Steam Deck for a bit. I mainly bought it as a Steam Deck game because it feels like that's going to be the best place to play it, at least for me. Just like I did for Ori and a few other games that are like those Metrovania style games. But made it to Act 2, only about 3 hours in. So having fun with it, but definitely enjoying my time with it. But yeah, just a little bit of everything and eyeing that gray zone thing now that they have pricing. Little pissed off. Well, I'm happy and pissed off at Escape from Tarkov. I was really eyeing the EOD edition before the holidays. It was like the one that promised that you would get all the DLC guaranteed and stuff like that. My two sons already have it. And I was like, should I get this? Should I go ahead and do that mod that makes a single player? And now they're actually making the single player. So I now know why they were banning people for doing the mod and stuff like that. But you got to spend the $250 to get it now. I mean, you get 6 months access if you have the old EOD, which was like $140 or whatever way back. But now it's like $250 if you want it guaranteed to get that mode. So it's creating a little confusion with the the fan base or the player base, and they're making some noise, and hopefully Nikita listens and doesn't kind of kill the game before he does his 1.0 release. But Gray Zone is like that other version of an extraction shooter that I've been eyeing, and I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but it's getting close.
Nice. And we do have
hold on for a second. Hold on before you get to that guy. Let him eat some animal crackers over there. Fuzz, are you playing Kingdom Come Deliverance on PC?
Yes.
Okay, you are. Okay, all right. Totally different experience than freaking console, man.
I originally bought it on Xbox, and then when they did the trailer, I saw that it was on sale for like $9 or something.
Right.
And then I was like, that's a no-brainer. Just I'm buying it. Like I bought Zao that same day, bought Kingdom Come Deliverance. I think I bought the Game of the Year edition of Fallout and like 5 other games. Like I've been doing kind of the same thing that you've been doing. It's like, if it's $10, yeah. Okay,
whatever.
No brainer.
Yeah. No, it was just funny because you're playing a lot of what I'm playing. The stuff I didn't mention, Manor Lords, Kingdom Come Deliverance. So that's why I was curious. Shout out to Manor Lords, by the way. Slavic Magic, the developer, single developer, 7 years in development, 173,000 peak concurrent players on Steam, over 1 million copies sold in 24 hours. Like, shout out to Manor Lords. Like you said, Fuzz, I probably put like 4 hours into Manor Lords as well. Is freaking amazing. It's gorgeous. Now, I didn't have any of the bugs that you had so far, but what a city builder. If you guys are looking for a new city builder, go check out Manor Lords. It's probably going to be worth your time. He's still improving, and he's going to add castles. He's going to add all sorts of stuff. But Manor Lords is really, really good. And again, single developer for the most part. He did have some people come in and help with a couple things, but 7 years passion project, man. It's unbelievable what he would pull off. You can scale out the map all the way out and then all the way in seamlessly down to town level. Like a lot of RTSs, you can't even do that. And he somehow makes it completely work. Fantastic job. So go check out
and even a third person mode.
Yes, where you can just walk through your town and see how the town's doing. It's freaking awesome, man.
That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, I added more there.
And of course, Mav has joined us. So this man, he's the Mavuine hit singer, the pony riding diss track artist, as I said before, the fun of speculations. He has several shows. FSP Fun Pop, PM and the PM, with Pong right here. And of course, where it all began for me and him was the Xbox Ultimate podcast. The Mav, how you doing today, brother? What you been playing? What have you been up to?
Man, it's good to be here. I didn't know I was going to get invited to this show. It seemed like it was a special show because you had Cog playing and you had Pong here.
Yeah,
and I was like, and this is one I'm not invited to, but that little, here we are. Now
and you're like the anti-Cog, so now here you are.
I'm the anti-Cog?
Yeah, you're like the villain. Let's go.
Yeah, the Cog is like a very respectful, classy guy. So what does that make me if I am the anti-Cog?
Good to see you, brother, by the way.
I am super happy to be here, guys. This is going to be fun. I'm going to go through a list of little things I've been playing now. Botany Manor.
Ooh,
yes.
Manor. You've been collecting plants? Not pants, but plants.
Well, I do have some pants.
You do have some pants too. Yes.
But those are not as confusing. So we've actually been playing Botany Manor as a family, and it's been pretty fun. Trying to solve the puzzles and stuff like that. So that's something we've been doing. I've dove a little bit back into Forza. I've been playing some Dragon's Dogma 2 still. I've been playing like a lot of random things. There's a I think it's called Stunt Paradise or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. There's this indie game that I was in this mood where I was just looking through the storefront just to see like random stuff, right? And looking at reviews. So this is on the Xbox store, and it was like $6, $7. And it's a car game that's like Trials. And it's made by an indie developer. It's less than a gigabyte of size. And there's like 20 levels in it. I think I'm in like level 13 or 14. But if I'm not an achievement whore, but if you are an achievement whore, you get like 100 achievement points per level that you beat. So there's like 2,000 achievement points for it. It's like $6, $7, but it's actually really good, dude. Like the mechanics feel just like Trials. If you're a fan of Trials. So that's something I've played a little bit of. I tried Manor Lords. I need help.
What do you need help with?
I have no clue what I'm doing. Like I started the game and I see like I need to make burger plots, stuff like that. I need to make roads and
Did
stuff.
you just call them burgers?
Bergen, what's it called? Burgess? Burgers?
Burgess?
What are the plots called where you put the houses?
I know what you're talking about, but I just refer to them as houses. I don't even remember.
Yeah, so like anyway,
Burgers. They're burgers.
Burger plots.
That could be a problem. You're trying to put up burger shops in a medieval town. That just ain't gonna happen, bro.
So I am struggling a little bit with Manor Lords because it doesn't hold your hand at all. Like, don't look at me like that. Like Pong.
Not true. You got to read. I mean, you do have to do that. So.
Yeah, it says like make a burger plot, and I was like, okay, well, where did I go to make a burger plot? So I went and I had to click around to try and find a way to make a burger plot. Then I make a burger plot, and I don't know what to do with the burger. However, the game is super impressive. Like it's graphically, and like you're talking about the way you can like zoom in and stuff. Like it's just amazing. I had like one crash, but I think I just need to update my drivers. I haven't done that yet. So it's just random stuff, man. But it's awesome to have all these random cool things to play right now. And Fallout 4, I've been diving back into Fallout 4. It's another one. The game that everybody's complaining about, the free update that we got. So been diving into that.
What are the major complaints, like that the 60 FPS is not fully working? I'm in New Vegas.
It's 60 FPS.
Okay.
There's a bug where the quality mode is default, or the performance mode is defaulting to the quality mode. So supposedly,
no, the quality mode isn't working at all.
Right.
So because they advertised, they came out and did an explanation, but the way that they advertised it is the way that it works on PlayStation 5. Okay, the way they talked about the patch. Now they're trying to retroactively say, oh no, the series consoles are working properly. This is what we wanted it to do. But that's not what they said it was going to do. Now the PS5 has, I believe, and again, I haven't looked too closely. It's just another case of whatever. Like, this is dumb. I can't believe you guys have this stuff happen. It's just little stupid stuff. It's just whatever. It's just more annoying than anything. And I don't understand why Xbox allows this. But anyways, the PlayStation 5 version, I believe, has a mode that's like 1440 at 40 frames per second for VRR monitors and TVs. That's not available on Xbox at all. And that was supposed to be
weird.
Yeah. So there's a couple issues like that. Again, does it look great and does it run great? I think it does. Is it what they said it was going to be on the Xbox side? No, it's not. And that's where some people have obviously an issue. And again, I understand it's these little things that keep popping up, right? It's just, we've talked about this so much through the years, man. It's always something small. It just adds up.
I think whatever is going on with this, it'll probably be something that they just keep updating and fix. I don't know.
I imagine.
It's tricky for me to complain about like a free update where I just got free improvements on a game. And like,
I get it.
And I'm playing this on PC right now. Or I have been playing it on PC, and like now my console experience is like close to what my PC experience was. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like it's 4K 60 pretty much most of the time. and I'm really enjoying that. So I understand that some people are having issues with it and stuff like that, but like I don't know. I really enjoying what they did here, and I think that there's going to be more improvements and more fixes with it and stuff. I do agree, like it's bad look and weird for PlayStation to not have the same issues that Xbox does. That doesn't make any damn sense from Xbox first party studios, and that's something they definitely got to work out. But I think a little bit of that has been overshadowing
Yeah.
the
fact that it's a
actual
free
like
update.
fact that we got a free awesome update when the other company that people are talking about charges $70 for 3-year remasters on games, right? And I will champion this even if it's not perfect over the ulterior, right? Every time. So I love it. It's awesome, and it looks really good, plays super smooth now, and it's allowed me to enjoy the game more on console than I ever have before. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
Facts.
that's good. Yeah, I heard a little bit about the shenanigans that was kind of going on with Fallout.
Yeah,
It does suck because it goes into that narrative where
is they always trip over a rake, right?
Yeah.
It's like everything they do, it's like some little thing happens to where it's like overshadows the awesomeness of everything else.
yeah,
You know,
like, oh,
it's
you,
like
you did Sea of Thieves on another console, but little things where it performs better on PlayStation or similar to Hi-Fi Rush or now this. So it's like, you know, that's something they need to definitely work on. I'm not gonna sit here and be like they shouldn't, but it was a free update, so that is the cool thing that people should take away from. Like, they didn't have to do a free update.
And it plays great.
So that's play great.
It plays great. It plays fantastic.
I do definitely want to check that out. Right now, I'm still in New Vegas land, so once I get out of New Vegas land, I'm gonna definitely jump in.
You got that good 360 brown and gray going on.
Yeah,
it's awesome, man.
That filter.
Yes. Oh God, it's so funny firing up those old games, man. It'd just be like, oh, almost every game had it. It was just like, oh, we're back to the 360 again. But it's awesome. It's nostalgic. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, there's a couple of games that reminds me of, like, I guess Deus Ex, just different games back then that was obsessed with that filter. Yeah, let's get into our first topic of the day. So first topic, IGN decided to partner up with Xbox, and they did display a bunch of different indie titles. So I have up on my screen, you guys can see some of that showcase. Yeah, so they decided to basically partner up. There was a lot of different indie games displayed there. If you haven't had the chance to check it out, the full stream totaled, it was like 3 or so hours, but then they had the countdown, so it was the juicy bits of the show after that countdown. Around 40 or so minutes was really where the good games started to kind of pop in. So I do have a list of some of the good ones. So here's a quick recap. We had 33 Immortals, All You Need Is Help, Aster Blade of the Monolith, Sentim's Commandos Origins, which is coming to Game Pass. We had Hangry Humanity, which is coming to Game Pass. Flintlock, which we keep seeing at these different shows. I'm interested in that game. We had the Jackbox Naughty Pack, and then Lost Records Bloom in Rage. That's just some of them. There was a lot more. So I do love Don't Nod. So Lost Records was pretty cool one for me to see. That the trailer had this sort of first person camera recording thing going on. What I found interesting in that trailer, it had the aesthetic of Life is Strange, but it was like a lot more detailed. So because Life is Strange sort of had this blurrier paint look in that game, this one is a little bit more detailed. You could tell they're advancing in their technology department. So I'm bringing it to you first, Pong. So did you get a chance at watching the showcase, and did you have some highlights that you definitely enjoyed? We'll definitely get into the IGN portion of
the low light. Okay. All right.
Yeah. But let's focus on the games that were there. Like watching the showcase, what were some of the highlights for you, bud?
Bro, listen, you guys know me. I get super excited about any show. I don't care what it is. I get super excited for Nintendo shows because you just never know what you're going to see, and a lot of the games are going to be available everywhere. So I get excited for every show, and I love indie titles. And now that I am on PC more, and I got access to even more indie titles, like this stuff gets me more pumped up. So I thought overall it was a pretty good show. Would I say this was one of my favorite ID at Xbox shows? No. It did have a couple. Again, I still enjoyed myself. It's just like, was every game for me in this one? No, it was not. And that's fine. It's not supposed to be that way. There are shows I come out of where like 90% of the games are for me that I like really would like to try them. This one wasn't like that, but I thought overall pretty good show outside of the IGN stuff, which we'll save. Highlights for me. The Commandos Origins, of course. Again, tactical strategy games are all the rage. The fact that they're showing up more and more and more, and Commandos is an OG classic. I actually own the one that's on console right now, the original Commandos. But how this showed up at this showcase for me, as that type of guy that wants to play these types of games, and it's coming to Game Pass. Let's go. Commandos Origins looked fantastic. And then, I mean, I won't take them all here. Tales of Iron 2. Now, I'm saying this, and I never played the original Tales of Iron. I had so many times had it in my cart and just never pulled the trigger. But I've always wanted to play Tales of Iron. It looks freaking fantastic. I love the artwork in this game, and I love the rat concept of, rat community, like, humanistic kind of rats, right? I love that. And I love everything that I see in these games. And so they had the Tales of Iron 2. It got me so excited. I went and found a code for Tales of Iron 1 for $3. It was on sale on Steam, by the way. I think Steam's got it for $3 right now or something like that. So I did pick that up, and I will be playing the first one. But this trailer was fantastic. It just was like, okay, this is all the reasons why I want to play the first one. And now you guys are giving me more. Okay, I got to go back and play the first one. So I went and picked that up. And the last one I'll do, there was more, but the last one I'll do, and this one is off the wall. I don't know how many people actually even said, I'm interested in this game. But this is the weird, wacky stuff that I absolutely adore when I see it. I love this stuff. The Promise Mascot Agency. Yo, that game was so weird at first. I was like, is this No More Heroes? Like, are we doing this? Like, do we have a new No More Heroes game? And then I'm like, is this a Yakuza-like game? What is this? And all of a sudden the mascot showed up, and I'm like, okay, well, that's normal. We get weird stuff like this in Eastern flavored games. I'm like, okay, cool. I can roll with this. But then all of a sudden they became like the main part of the story. And all of a sudden I was watching this thing, and I'm like, I don't understand what is going on here, but I really want to play this game. So Promise Mascot Agency, totally up my alley. It was awesome that it was at this showcase and it's coming out to Xbox, because those are the games back in the day that never would have showed up on Xbox, right? So again, more and more Sarah Bond and Phil and everybody going over to Japan. It might not be everything. Everybody's got a wish list of Eastern titles we wish would come to Xbox. But the fact that we get these newer games and these indie games coming, that's all their hard work showing up on Xbox. So that was the last one I'll give. But yeah, no, overall, I thought it was a really good show. There was a bunch of stuff that I could say that I kind of want to play.
Yeah, and there's something on the screen right now. It's like this first person. I forgot the name of this one. This is Sulfur. So in the chat, Brett Bingham says, "What about Sulfur?" That game that's on the screen right now looks awesome. It's like this first person cartoony RPG with some magical elements and stuff like that. That was definitely a game I forgot to mention, but that looks very interesting. There was definitely some notable titles here for sure. Bring it to you, Mav. Like, what were some highlights for you if you had a chance to check out the show? What'd you like? What was some of your games?
You kind of just stole that. Sulfur was the main standout for me. I was watching it, and it was kind of looked like a grand RPG first person shooter. Looking at the description, it says it's kind of like a roguelite or whatever. But just looking at it with the inventory management, all that kind of stuff, it looks like something that's really fun to dive into, and it looks like the gunplay is really fun. I like that it says like the guns are customizable and all that kind of stuff as well. So that is probably the number one standout as far as like the new stuff. You just something just popped on the screen right there. It was the Farah game,
Yeah.
which was interesting. One that I think only right now is for PC. But it kind of looked like a Pal Worldy flying style game. I don't really know how to describe it, but you go around with the grapple hook and you have wings and you fly around and you battle monsters and you collect them and you also build up a world and like a base and stuff like that too. So it's got like the monster collecting and hunting elements plus also the base building plus also it's more aerial based as well. So that looked really interesting. Let's see. There was the one I think it's like Aster. Is that what it's called? It kicked off the show.
Aster Blade of the Monolith.
Yeah, that one looked pretty cool.
You know what that reminded me of, Mav? Biomutant.
A little bit.
Yeah, I watched the gameplay because they
Yeah.
played some after the showcase. I don't know if you watched that, but the gameplay itself and the kind of the world itself kind of reminded me of Biomutant. It was kind of
Right.
cool. I love I actually like Biomutant. So, anyways,
Yeah, there was some good stuff there. I mean, there wasn't anything that was like, oh my god, this is so amazing, and I can't freaking wait for it. However, that's kind of what these shows are about. It's like there's games that were here that are now on my radar that weren't previously. And the one that, like I said, that stood out the most is probably that Sulfur game. That one I'm making a point to remember. I'm watching the stream, so that way you're helping me remember stuff.
Yeah.
This Don't Nod game looked pretty interesting. It was like the way it was shot, like it was like normal scenes, but then there was something off about each one of them, right? And I loved that trailer. But
Yeah, it
I
has,
don't
like,
know how the
some
game is going to
horror
be.
elements a little bit in there, which I wasn't expecting, but yes.
Yeah, it was weird because like okay, so like this, you just had the merry-go-round thing. It's like, okay, why is there a little demonic troll sitting on the merry-go-round, right? Or like, you know, like it's just normal scenes, but then something a little bit weird out of place in each one of them. And I just thought that was a really interesting way to do a trailer to kind of add intrigue into this like supposedly normal looking world. Don't Nod has got a great track record, so this one it's a little interesting to me. I want to see more about it.
Yeah, it seems like they
Lost
want to make that
records.
a series, like the way they title the game. It seems like that's just
Yeah,
episode 1 or something like that.
yeah.
seems
It
like.
kind of looks like Life is Strange, but it's not. You know, so we'll see where it goes. I'm intrigued. I don't know if it's going to be for me or not, but right now it has my attention.
Yeah, same. I love Don't Nod. I love storytelling games. The way they tell it or handle the telltale type genre, I really enjoy. So we'll see what they end up doing. It does seem like it has a horror flair, but it has that Life is Strange style, but it looks more detailed. Maybe like over time, I feel like they just been getting better as a studio. So they've been really figuring out the Unreal Engine and how to utilize it. Like their lighting is usually really beautiful.
Yeah.
That's something I really like. Same to you, Fuzz. Before we get into the IGN discussion and stuff like that, what were some of your highlights that you got from the showcase? There was a lot of games there,
Yeah.
but yeah, what were some highlights for you?
I mean, for me, and we've already kind of seen it. It's been introduced on a previous showcase was 33 Immortals. Like that one is the highlight
Oh, yeah.
still. Seen it before, but still looking forward to that one coming out. Sulfur was the other one as well. Just the art style as well as the gunplay. That's definitely a good combination. I'm looking forward to giving a try. Stampede because racing and karts and stuff. Although it makes me wonder, like, why Xbox hasn't done something like this themselves, where we could use our avatars and certain like vehicles or characters from other IPs. Like, it would make sense for Xbox to kind of do something along these lines. But in the meantime, a nice little kart racer type of thing. 60 players, which is pretty cool. The Vampire Survivor stuff, which I still play that on occasion. The fact that they're getting Contra, like bringing guns to Vampire Survivor, I think is like the perfect blend. It's like nostalgia meets like this addictive game. So it's like nostalgia crack on steroids, basically, at this point. Having that mixed in there was an awesome thing to see. Kind of like the Dungeons of Hindenburg as well. Just for the fact that it's like a kind of like a platformer with magic, as far as you get this you create this cube that you could either climb or use it to hold gates open and things like that, or you can have like this energy ball go through stuff and like change direction and all that. But it was pretty interesting, and Aster looked good. Like I agree with Pong on the Biomutant look. It's almost like Biomutant met Ashen, I think was that other game that it had like a similar world type of thing. So that one should be pretty cool. Outside of that, there were some wild ones. Like, okay, Commando's Origins, that's on my radar as well.
Hangry
But
was a kind of a crazy crazy
well,
one.
that one's on my
That's pretty
radar
cool.
because it's like I call it the food. Was it like a food extraction melee shooter or melee extraction food thing? It's just a weird combination. Basically, you owe money, you go beat up alien creatures, turn them into food. Chow on some of them, bring the rest back to the restaurant. They cook up stuff, you pay off your debt. It's like rinse and repeat. That's going to be an interesting game loop, I think. But yeah, they definitely had some crazy ones. Like I agree with Pong on that whole what was that thing, the with the Yakuza, the mascot. That one was out there. What was the other one that was really out there? I don't know if Key Locker was out there as well. I think that's the one where you're the musician you're following like a music box or like a jukebox or something like that. And and the other one, the Galaxy. Where's Time and Galaxy? Like you're a robot interviewing aliens, and just some crazy games. Like if they make it a Game Pass, like some of them were in Game Pass. I wish they would have probably put more emphasis on the Game Pass ones, but if a lot of these, if they make it in Game Pass, you try it. These are the things that usually hook you. It's like you would have never probably considered buying it before. You try it, and it's like, this is actually pretty good. You wind up picking it up with the discount from being subscribed to Game Pass, and then you're looking at that studio or that publisher's other title. So, it was a good show for the game aspect. But we'll get into the rest where I'll explain my illness after watching that show. So we'll get into it.
To that point too, though, to fuzz that deal with Gamera Games for those 4 indie titles from the East too was a great Game Pass get. That was one of the parts that they did highlight, and I thought that was pretty awesome. Those 4 games are coming. Those are games that people would never know about and probably would never buy outright. And the fact that they're coming to Game Pass, people are just gonna have a chance. It's like Volcano Princess and what was the other one? Kepler Earth or something like that. I can't remember, but there's Keppel Earth. And then there was a couple more in there too that looked super cool. There's a couple RPGs in there as well, like old school 2D. I think that's the type of stuff that, again, that these shows are and should be centered around, because those are the small games that, let's be honest, the showcase is just, it's going to wipe them off the face of the planet. Like people aren't even going to remember that Gamera Games as a deal until those games actually drop into Game Pass. But the fact that they'll be in Game Pass, people will be like, oh, that's right. Oh, or I saw this. That's right at that one show. Okay, I'm going to download this and try it. That's where Game Pass is so valuable for these smaller, a lot of these smaller developers. So I was excited to see that.
Yeah, I think shows like these are valuable for several reasons. But another one I wanted to mention that I thought was cool to see for me was Humanity, which is coming to Game Pass. That was one title I was debating on getting for the PlayStation because I love those types of games. So that was definitely a highlight for me. But we need shows like these, and I've seen a couple of people in the chat mention Dutch's show as well, and that being like very high production. He put a lot of work into that show, and I do just want to give a little shout out to that show because Dutch always puts in a lot of work, and it's very admirable, and he does better in a lot of cases than a lot of other showcases out here. So I do want to give him his flowers and just be like, hey, bro, you're doing better than what even this show, I'm sure. But shout out to all the indie developers that are, popped up in this show. But like, listen, in terms of production value and stuff, shout out to Dutch. But we do need shows like these, because like you said, once the showcase happens, people are gonna forget about a lot of these games, I'm sure. And that's, to me, the highlight of Game Pass. Like, a lot of games that wasn't on my radar, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I remember seeing that game, or I wouldn't maybe outright buy it, but when you put it in Game Pass, it gives me ability to try it, and also gives a highlight to different types of games. That's something that indie developers do very well. They can experiment. They don't have this big publisher telling them they have to make this certain type of genre, this certain type of game, because this is what's profitable, and you have to add in these monetization things. We've seen the ridiculous amount of different genres with these games, right? Like, I don't see a Bungie or a 343 or anyone trying to do these types of games. So I always appreciate in indie dev showcases, because it like, while something may not look AAA or something like that, sometimes they can get away with it looking AAA, but they are experimenting in other ways. So I can always give some flowers to some of the indie developers as well.
Can we talk about how bad IGN was now?
Yep, let's do it. So IGN, I did want to bring this up, and I'll have you guys like have the floor with this one. But IGN in general, people know who watch the show, I'm not a huge fan of IGN. There are certain people that sometimes will appear on IGN. I love them. Like some people in our community, and sometimes we'll jump on IGN, and props to them. But IGN as a company who constantly just blasts Xbox for different things, I would not partner with them. Like, partnering with someone who could kind of hate you. I don't know. That was an interesting choice, but I know they're constantly just looking at the numbers. They're not looking at it from a personal standpoint. They're looking at it from a business standpoint. I don't really care. I look at it from like, hey, you did this to me. But I know I always say, and me and Pong say this on other shows, I would be Dark Phil in a lot of cases, where he is definitely playing that business side. I would not play that business side. I would be like, what, you did what to me? Like, I'm not working with you ever again. But you can't be petty, and that is why I'm not the head of Xbox. That's probably one of the reasons. But yeah, let's get into IGN and them on the stage with Xbox, and them deciding to partner with them. Let's just get your overall thoughts. Let's go to you, Mav. So what do you think about this partnership with IGN? I do not like IGN at all. I feel like I get a lot of my news from people in the community, snippets here and there from people I trust and stuff. But IGN over time is this one of those places I don't necessarily go for my news. But what do you think about the partnership? I'm not. I'll let you take the floor on that.
Well, for the indie show, it is at least better than the Twitch ones that we got.
Right.
Those were a complete nightmare to try and sit through and watch. But overall, it was just really bad. Like, their parts. It would have been way better if, like,
it's kind of cringy,
if they didn't exist. It's just really bad writing and stuff. I don't know. It's not necessarily all their fault. I mean, I don't know whose idea it was to have the show presented like this, but they got to come up with little stuff to say between segments, and I don't know. It just comes across really cringy, especially when you see the people presenting. And I used to really like Damon Hatfield a lot because I used to listen to Game Scoop regularly.
Mm-hmm.
But I know this about him, is that he just really is uneducated about Xbox, does not really care about Xbox whatsoever. And he's kind of let that be known. I don't really, he doesn't have like an Xbox podcast. You know, he has like gaming podcasts, like where he does Game Scoop and he does the Next Gen Console Watch, where he has other people that kind of are supposed to be representative of those brands and stuff. But like as a whole, somebody that does not really know or care a lot about your brand as a gaming enthusiast and for a gaming media conglomerate like IGN, to have them kind of lead for the hosting of an Xbox themed show just comes across as like disingenuous and something I would not do. Like, right. I'm not a hugest Ryan McCaffrey fan or the biggest Ryan McCaffrey fan, right? But like, it'd be better to have like Ryan McCaffrey or Destin Legary be there to host that section, or maybe like I think her name is Miranda Sanchez. I don't know if she's still there or not, because I haven't really been paying attention to IGN too much the last couple of years. But Damon Hatfield is not the person to be hosting an Xbox themed showcase presented by Xbox for IGN. Like, it's just
so weird.
It
like,
just doesn't
do you
fit.
think that
It's like Keeley, right? It's like the IGN. It's like Keeley. He's a good guy. I don't not like him as a person. It's just like he's just blatantly doesn't care about Xbox, and he's let that be known numerous times.
Yeah, but like to that point, do you think Xbox sees the comments that are coming from IGN? Like, I remember when IGN had their last showcase, they were in the comment section. IGN actually commented. I forgot exactly what it said, but it was something to the effect of like, oh, Xbox doesn't have any good games, or it said something like that during the Xbox showcase on the IGN account. And this comments that these commentators who are presenting the show have said about Xbox over the years. Do you think they look at any of that, or they're just basically like, we'll get some views with IGN? Like, that's a legitimate question. Like, do you guys think, like, and I mean, I've been in the rooms and stuff, but I'm curious of what you guys think. Like, do you think they care at all with what?
You would think they would have to at least somewhat care, but they just look at the like bigger picture of the amount of viewers and stuff that different games media gets. But I know they somewhat care, because sometimes they'll make these like post on social media or Twitter, or even Aaron Greenberg, or like especially like Josh Stein will like make these posts in contradictory of stuff that IGN says sometimes, or like, they won't directly go after them, but they'll make post after IGN does one of these things, right? And like kind of like in your face, yeah, this is not true. This is what's going on. So that they're aware of it. But that's, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think they could have completely just done this on their own. They don't need IGN for it. I know maybe Tina Amini's too busy preparing for the other stuff that she has coming up to completely take that on herself. But I don't know. I just wouldn't go to IGN for it. I would go to Giant Bomb over them. I would go to anybody.
Or go to people who care about my brand.
I would even go to Keeley. Yep. over IGN, and I don't like Keeley as much either, right? But he is not at least directly making constant shit post about Xbox, right?
Yep.
So
I mean, yeah, you're completely right. I'm interested in your take on this, Pong. You don't have to ripple, or if you hate IGN, then cool. If you think they're okay, I really want your genuine thoughts of like, if you like what you think about it. I have always not liked IGN's position on things, and in the past, I've just seen them change over time and how they message games and their clickbait and different things they've said about Xbox over the years. But what do you think? Did you like the showcase with IGN? What do you think?
No, I mean, listen, you guys all know my feelings on the mass media, and what they don't do anymore. Their biases, their editorials. Like you, 3-Bit, like you said, we've talked about this plenty If I was Phil, they wouldn't get any of my business. Do I understand why Xbox still uses IGN? Yes. Does IGN still possess enough value, even if, like you were talking about 3-Bit and Mav was talking about, Xbox internally sees the issues with IGN and how they present certain things? There's obviously a business value to still do, to still deal with them, because they do reach the wider audience. And that is something that obviously Xbox still needs and still wants. That's why we have these shows like this with IGN. Was it a good produced show? No, it wasn't. It was very robotic. It was all scripted. It wasn't a good script in any way, shape, or form. And again, it's not only them that can't pull these shows off, but this is not the format I like. The three presenters doing their little banter back and forth. I don't know who. I obviously people still subscribe to IGN. People still go there. It's still where the masses, a lot of the masses, still get all their information from. But I don't know how people watch this stuff and think that this is good, because it's not. It's not a quality type of show, at least in my opinion. And again, if you guys feel differently, you feel differently. So, but I just think that ultimately, until IGN erodes enough and they no longer become relevant, Xbox and other companies will still deal with them in this manner. And they still will give them shows like this to present, because they will feel that they can draw a bigger audience. Do I think personally that Xbox needs them? No, of course not. Xbox is big enough. Xbox is a big enough brand. They can put themselves out there. They can draw the shows. Again, their showcase is going to be the biggest draw this summer outside of the Keeley stuff. This is going to be the biggest show. People understand, even some of the masses, not everybody, of course not, but a lot of the masses still now are starting to understand that they own Activision Blizzard. Like this, they're huge, and that's just going to become more and more of a thing. And so I think eventually, will they start moving away from them? Yeah, I do. And I think with having Tina Amini and her team do what they've done now with the developer directs, and we're going to see her put her touch on this this big showcase this summer. They can do it more and more on their own. They don't need it. The developer directs drew a ton of people. And again, the media is going to cover anything Xbox puts out there. So it's not like IGN, if they're not attached to it, isn't going to be like, oh, well, we got to, we're not going to cover Xbox's show that they just did. So if Xbox put on their own ID at Xbox show, everybody would still cover it. Everybody'd still be talking about it. They'd be writing articles about the game showing. So I think eventually Xbox will move away from this. At least I hope so. Because again, did they bring anything value as somebody watching it? No, not for me. They didn't do anything for me. But again, I'm not the masses. I'm not the people that, I'm somebody who will find a show wherever it's at. It doesn't matter what channel it's on or who's putting it on or whatever. I'll find it. The masses just see it promoted by IGN. It's at IGN's YouTube page. It's easy for the masses to go, oh, it's IGN. Oh, look, Xbox is going to be there. Going to show some indie games. I'm kind of cool with indie games. Let's go check it out. It just makes it easier for those types of people to find it. But I think overall, it didn't do anything. It wasn't great. From that standpoint, from the production side of things with IGN. They obviously miss Tina Amini. They obviously miss her. Whoever replaced Tina Amini is not doing it, because I do think IGN put on some really good shows back in the day when she was around. Now I have seen a decrease in quality. Tina Amini was one of the best hires by Xbox. I've said that for a very long time, and I believe that.
Yeah,
she's amazing.
I completely agree. I've worked with that team who did the developer showcase, and like they are on it. They are passionate and they know, they're knowledgeable in terms of like broadcasting and layout. Show layout is actually very important, because if you try to have like a news type layout that maybe works for other mediums but not gaming, and then you try to apply it to gaming, gamers will always call it out. It'll always, something will feel wrong. You're like, why are these hosts here randomly as I'm watching the show, just going like, hope you enjoy, like no one really wants to I want to know
this is this stuff behind the scenes stuff. And 3-bit, you obviously have more hands on with this because you've worked and you've also done commercials and stuff. I just want to know the people that are in charge when they sit around and they look at these shows and they develop the shows like whatever it's going to be. Let's just say ID at Xbox, and they say we need 3 hosts and we need this scripted content because that's really what people show up for. That's what gamers look for. Like we want to see 3 of our IGN hosts look unnatural and do these stupid, cringy jokes and then introduce the games. Like, who says that that's what gamers are actually interested in? Any gamer, not just us as the enthusiasts, but any gamer. It's
the funny, it's kind of like the classic award show things for like movies and stuff like that. Like you get a lot of those too during those things, but like, and it depends on who the writers are and who the presenters are and how the delivery is, right? We've seen the Future Game Show does this all the time because they have they have voice actors do it, right? And we've seen like when they had Geralt there is better, right? Because like that voice and like it's just kind of like interesting and different. But then the people they had this year, it was like so cringe and just like really bad. So you can have like the same idea, right, and it be done way better one time than the other. And I just think that IGN is just full of talentless hacks that don't deserve to be in their position. Ultimately, is what it's all about. I mean, you're right. When Tina Meany left, you see like a huge quality dip right there, and you see what they're doing on the stage, and it's like, okay, like anybody can kind of do that. But like, what's worse is I would appreciate it more if I knew that the people there actually gave a damn about what they're presenting.
Oh, obviously that would come through. That would come through. That's why when we see the devs talk about their own games, we appreciate that, right? We appreciate that a lot more. But that's the part, man. Yes, you can have a good show by having this kind of format for sure with people. If the right people are there, if the writing is natural, if it's good, sure, it can be entertaining. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when you look at the Nintendo Direct, now you look at Xbox's Dev Directs, when you look at the PlayStation, the way that they do all of their shows, like everybody else has gone away from this format. Like Keeley's going to do his thing because it's a giant production and he's got the celebs and all that kind of stuff. But for a group like IGN, why do they look like, if you want to have one of those people up there, break up the monotony, right? Every once in a while and jump in after like, let's say 3-4 trailers in a row, jump in and say something kind of funny or, introduce the next set of games or say, hey, we're going to take a break now for our advertising partners, which they have to do, of course. If you wanted to do that I could totally understand. But why 3 people up there doing this corny ass shit in between these trailers? Like, it's so unnecessarily. And I can't believe that somebody doesn't look around and go, maybe this is kind of outdated, guys. Maybe we should move away from this. Gamers really just want to see trailer after trailer after trailer, maybe a little something in between. But for the most part, let's just give them the gameplay because that's what they're really here for. I don't know.
I bet you, like, behind the scenes, what will probably happen when IGN decided to partner up with Xbox. I bet you some of the conversations that happened was IGN wants to be known. Like, IGN itself is like a brand, right? So you have
self-promotion.
Yeah, self-promotion. So you have like IGN, they have their reviews and stuff. People go to IGN for their talent. It's also why, like, recently IGN has had several postings about trying to find new on-camera talent, for example, right? That's like a part of IGN where they have their faces. Like, this is the Ryan McCaffrey, this is the Destin Legary, this is, and I feel like what was probably a decision as they were making this show in partnership with Xbox was, we have to make sure we show our on-brand talent. People have to know that this is us. This is like, yes, this is the Xbox show, but this is also IGN. So in the creative creation process, I bet you like 100% this is the conversation they were having, like making sure that IGN, besides just having the logo or what they call is like brand ID, the in between sections of these commercials, they were like, well, we need to have more IGN in there, so how can we do that? Oh, let's put our hosts like every now and then, which is why it felt so awkward when you have like gameplay, like, awesome, we got gameplay, and then all of a sudden the guy's like, hey, I'm Ryan McCaffrey. Welcome to ID at Xbox. Like, stay tuned. You like this section that's on the screen, right? You guys are about to see it. It just felt unnecessary, and I think what a lot of people who do these shows need to like really understand is gamers care about games. And if you don't understand gamers in general, you will come off as a fraud, and gamers will call you out like 100% of the time. And it will feel unnatural. There's a lot of things like if you're like, oh yeah, my favorite game is people just know if you're not fully into what you're talking about, or if you're not about it. And all gamers care about is the games. So if you try to implement your own brand and stuff inside of it, it'll always fail. But if you generally just try to make a good show the games, and do, maybe you can do some messaging around it, sure, but for the most part, care about the games, you do that well, then maybe you can say something. That's kind of the best layout you can have for these types of shows, because we've seen over the years, we've seen so many different types of layouts for different shows, and it never really works out when there's a lot of talking. That's whenever we watch a show, we're like, oh, they're talking all the time, and why? Because we want to see the game. So that's something I feel like Tina Amini and the team have done pretty well these past few shows. Is like, okay, you want the talking, you want that, we'll have a showcase dedicated to the developers, so that way you're not taking up time. This is this type of show, and it makes sense for the type of show it is, but you want that showcase where it's just game montage. We have that as well. That is why that mentality exists in general, is because gamers mentality where they want to see the games. So what do you guys what do you think about that? I believe Pong made you point. Mav, did you get a or is it whose turn is it?
It's Fuzzy. It's Fuzzy's
It's
turn.
Fuzzy.
Okay, I was
You
like,
start.
forgot. I was sorry, I was on my rant and I lost my train of thought. So, Fuzz, what do you think about this whole partnership?
I'm gonna try to be as nice as I can. Like, I don't mean to make fun of certain health conditions. In fact, I'm pre-diabetic, but like seriously watching that, I felt like I was getting cavities and getting diabetes. Like I was like this close to a coma. Like I get it. You have to have this witty repertoire between the hosts and stuff, but like the teasing thing, that was too much. Like I don't even think that's funny to a 4-year-old or 6-year-old that you put in front of, like back in the day, you used to put them in front of a TV for Sesame Street. Like, I think a kid from that era would throw shoes at the screen at that point if they had to sit through that. Like, there was no entertainment value whatsoever. Like, their best bet is to just read a teleprompter of the titles and keep it moving. Like, the rest of the stuff was dead space, dead air that would have been better left on the cutting room floor. Like I've seen better from those individuals in other circumstances, which makes you wonder, it's like, who drew the short sticks to host this? Like, was it that, Destin Legary and Ryan McCaffrey weren't available for the intro part of it? I mean, I think Ryan came later for some of the gameplay stuff, but it's like, you could tell these people didn't want to be there. They're known as not being fans of Xbox in any way, shape, or form. In fact, the main guy is the one that was like, Xbox has no games, or at least that's what I heard on the internet. Like,
no, he said that live on one of their shows. Like he was just made a joke, like, and he said it, oh, it was just a joke or whatever. But it's long running. No, it's long running stuff that like it shows his lack of knowledge actually about what's going on, really more than anything, So I don't know. It's cringy seeing somebody like that host an Xbox show.
Yeah, like if you're supposed to be in the gaming space and you're going to be a host for some of these shows, at least know the brand, know the types of games, the genres, the whatnot, and that guy seemed to be kind of clueless. Like it's almost like he's the guy that went to journalism school and just happened to fall into a gaming job. And probably the most gaming he did was like solitaire prior to it, kind of thing. Like that's the vibe he gives in most of the cases. And it just feels like it was a waste of time for them to do that. And I get it. You know, I mean, he was probably planning for the big showcase for June. I think they could have even taken any other individuals within Xbox and done a way better job. Like if Rubenstein or Malik weren't available, like any of the other hosts that they've had for some of the shows or podcasts and whatnot would have been a much better, mix of personalities as far as whether it's reading from a teleprompter or just being natural on set. It didn't feel like any of them were being natural. It didn't feel like any of them were having fun. It was like the almost like the Force type of thing where you feel like you're in like some sort of like Truman Show or something. Something just felt off. Like we were talking about how that one game where it was like something record or whatever, where it felt like Life is Strange meets like Five Nights at Freddy's. Like those hosts just felt like Children of the Corn level odd, like on stage. It made the experience like I would have probably given the show like a solid 8 just for the games alone, but those hosts brought it down at least a point or two. If it wasn't for some of the games that were of interest, I honestly would have not probably made it past the third game. Honestly, like it's that bad of a job of as far as hosts. And it's like if they were probably doing a PlayStation State of Play thing, they'd probably have been, more natural and more relaxed and not as forced with the jokes, and it would have probably went smoother. But because those individuals were picked for Xbox, it just felt like, damn, I got the short stick today. I don't even play Xbox. Last time I played an Xbox game, it was on PC and it crashed. It's like that's the type of attitude of all those individuals for that show, and it came through loud and clear.
Yeah,
so that's it.
Fuzzy, again, we've talked about. I don't know why we're still talking about this. Anyways, it is a point of consternation for me overall. And Fuzz, you just brought it up, and I just want to say this real quick. I've said this plenty of times. We've had a lot of discussions about this through the years about the media. I truly believe this. Some people will say I'm just, throwing out conspiracy theories or that it's totally not true. We now, because of the popularity of video games and because it's become the number one entertainment industry in the world, you said it perfectly, Fuzz, and I've talked about this. There are a lot of people in this space, in this industry, professionals, quote unquote, who do not enjoy gaming. They do not like gamers. And that's what we get now. Back in the day, this was a passionate based hobby completely. Whoever was gaming went through bullying. Whoever still enjoyed it got through all of that because of their pure love for the gaming. And that included, I would say, most of the media that covered games back in the day. Was there probably a sprinkling here or there, people that didn't enjoy games? Just, it was a job? Absolutely. Now, I would say the majority of the professionals, this is a job to them, and that's it. They don't care about us as gamers. They don't even like us, a lot of us as gamers. This is why the best case to prove my point is the return of G4 TV and the ultimate failure of it in less than a year.
Oh, and the meltdown of Adam Sessler afterwards.
Adam Sessler used to love gaming. He has become such a jaded old man in so many ways. Like a lot of people, I have said that there's a lot of people who have outgrown video games or have been in this industry too long and have fallen out of love with video games and out of love with gamers. But all their hosts, G4 TV worked back in the day because it was made by gamers for gamers. Yep. And they all understood what it meant to be a gamer, and they came off that way. Sure, you can go back and watch and say, is this some of that shit corny or blah, blah, blah? Sure, of course. But back in the day, we were laughing at it. Like the gamer mentality was everywhere on G4 TV. When they try to bring it back in this day and age, and you bring in people like a jaded Sessler who has no love for this industry or gamers anymore, he admits it freely. All of a sudden, you have a product that absolutely sucks and speaks to no one. And you will get the ultimate blow ups and all the controversy that they had in that less than a year, and it crashed and burned. That is what has happened across a lot of media these days in gaming. And that's why we see them continuously put out half-ass product, half-ass energy. My God, any of us, if you given that ID at Xbox Pro, and I'm not saying this in any way, shape, or form to be arrogant, but I'm telling you what, we've all been podcasting for long enough together. You put the Fun Spec fam and you say, go ahead, guys, give us your best shot at the ID at Xbox. I can guarantee you we'd have brought more to that show by a long shot than those dudes. And they were getting paid to do it. And that's their job to do every single day, is to enjoy the video game industry, to know about the video game industry, to report on the video game industry. It's exactly what we do for nothing, because we're just passionate. We come podcast. We love our community. We come out here. We love everybody in chat. And we do this stuff for free because of how much we love gaming. These people are supposed to be that way, and yet they get paid for it too, to be able to earn a living. And they still can show up and not be educated on what's going on and currently in gaming. They can be behind by months sometimes in the way that they talk about stuff that's going on in gaming, and they get paid to and they get paid to freaking do this. And then they come out with half-ass energy, right? And it comes across completely as Fuzzy just explained it. Again, this is why I say just keep burning. Just burn it all down the ground. Eventually they will become irrelevant. Eventually that day will come where all of this will not matter. But
you talk about relevance, like there's already like a lot of these big media channels, when they do the live streams or like their big shows and all these kind of things, you look at the numbers that some of the people in the podcasting community, like Xbox or whatever communities do on their shows. A lot of times actually as much or more on the live streams, even just for random podcasts and stuff, than these big time games media do. That's why you see a lot of these guys starting to form their own channels, right? That's why you see a lot of them, the personalities that we got used to, jumping ship and realizing like, hey, I'm going to go do my own thing. And those are the people that generally were passionate about gaming to begin with. And now they have their own side thing that they're doing, right? And that they're doing as well as on their live streams as the companies that they were getting paid to work for in the first place. And sometimes even better, because they're free to actually speak what they actually think in those spaces, right? So you see it time and time again. The big games media is absolutely worthless to me at this point. The reviews are all completely jaded and biased and have no value whatsoever anymore. The shows that they put on like this come across as cringy and absolutely worthless to watch, because they actually are tarnishing what should be something that's more positive. And I'm with Pong and Fuzzy. I like seeing this crash and burn right now of big games media. It's actually really entertaining to see that IGN and places like that get community noted on Twitter and things that, saying like how wrong these posts are or how stupid they are. I understand a lot of that's the gaming community is doing in the first place, just because, you know, they're jaded as well. But like it's interesting when you have the #1 games media site in gaming get community noted for being wrong.
Yeah,
it's a problem.
I mean, and how many times does that happen? And how many times does that always refer to the same platform every single time? You know, it's kind of exhausting at this point. And to your point, Pong, I genuinely believe that a lot of people in this community as well, who are constantly complaining about their idea of what they think Xbox or even a lot of other platforms too should be, that they generally just don't enjoy gaming anymore.
There's a lot of this community too. I've said that.
This community for sure. Like you can hear it in how they just read their posts, right? When you are looking at some of the people, if you want to see like who in this community really enjoys gaming and who doesn't, all you have to do is scroll through their timeline and see how much they're either complaining about like what's like oh this developer didn't do what I wanted them to do. If you see more complaining than like wow, like actually being excited about a game, then you know. that's an easy way to tell, because it's happening in our gaming industry, probably way more in terms of like the media in general, but it's also happening in our community of people who just don't enjoy gaming anymore. And sadly, the people who do really enjoy gaming, you won't hear a lot from. You'll hear more so from the people who actually just don't like gaming anymore. Maybe they're just holding on to it or what have you, but it's sad, but it
this is what happens when anything gets popular. 3-bit, anything gets big like this. This is what it introduces, right? You can't. Again, I've always made the analogy that like your party with 10, 15, 20 closest friends is going to be different than one where they all invite 5 more people and all of a sudden becomes 100 or 200 person party. You're going to have people there that don't necessarily come for the right reasons or aren't there for the same idea that you originally had with a close-knit party, right? It becomes to a point where a lot of people come in and those people like the idea of what's going on, but they don't necessarily join in the same way. Right. And I think that's what we see here across. And this goes for devs. I think there's a lot of people that just don't enjoy gaming the way we think that they do or like we do, right? They just don't share that same level. And I think that a lot of that comes out and across, and especially in media, but in our community as well. For sure, there's a lot more people that like the idea of gaming or like the discourse around gaming, but don't actually enjoy gaming to the same level that a lot of us have passion wise. And again, it's fine. It's just that you do have to be aware that energy is out there, and that's what we see a lot of. It sucks.
You see a lot of these people too, just run with the crowd and whatever the popular opinion is at the time. And that's what's most dangerous for me is like when people that have gained a certain amount of influence don't actually have their own value of their own personal opinion or input. It's just about what they think is the most attention-getting thing at the time, or most popular opinion
just to be a part of the conversation.
Just to be a part of the conversation, and they're driving that narrative, forcing that narrative, sometimes starting these narratives, even if there's nothing to talk about, right? There's nothing to discuss because things are slow. Well, we need to have something to talk about. So is there a sliver of something out there, right? Let's latch onto this, make it into something hugely negative, and start this whole thing that is going to last for months while we wait for actually gaming, right? And that is sometimes what happens now. Because of the influence and the amount of people that they have watching and the respect that they've gained for having an audience has caused these things to become newsworthy to the point where even the games media starts to latch on to some random conversations that people have. Insiders, leakers, rumor mill people that used to just be like a little footnote on something like N4G are now the biggest conversation points that we have in gaming sometimes. And it's kind of become this up and down wave of toxicity and then hype and then toxicity, then hype. And then it's just like, there's no balance to the conversations because I just honestly think that a lot of these people that I used to even respect just actually don't have their own personal thoughts or opinions. Whatever.
100%. And someone in the chat, Eastside Vandal, shout out to
Eastside.
Everybody in here. We got 68 people in here. I think it was like 70 at one point, but appreciate everybody for dropping in here. It was great conversations. But to what Eastside Vandal said, he said it's literally Digital Foundry's fault that got folks counting pixels instead of enjoying gaming.
It's a lot. It's clickbait. It's what advertising has turned into in this day and age as well, where they have to drive people to their website to get those clicks, right? The advertising dollars that changed how it used to be, right, to now it's all about the engagement, and they don't, whether positive or negative, it pays. And obviously negativity, as we know, drives more people. And so now you got the big media sites and everybody else that just understands that's where you get your attention from. So they use it and they wield it, and they don't care what it does to the community. They don't care what it does to the overall opinion of games or gamers or whatever the case may be. They're going to use it until it no longer pays. And that's another thing that's been added in this day and age versus the old days, right? The better days, as I like to say. Not in terms of, again, it's still the golden age of gaming, for us gamers who enjoy games, been no better time. Now that the industry is this big, that's the positive side. We've got more games and better games and so freaking awesome out here to be a gamer these days. It's all the other stuff around it that has introduced some of these negative elements in the form of people and the way that these companies get engagement that is the negative side of becoming so big, like gaming.
Which is the result of, the gaming industry passing the movie industry.
Yes.
Is
100%.
that result. So yeah, let's get to the second topic, y'all. So the second topic of the day is actually a great one. We are here to discuss the Xbox Showcase. So the Sarah Bond posted on her Twitter account the following: save the date for Xbox Showcase, June 9 at 10 a.m., followed by redacted direct. Our teams and partners are working hard on our first showcase featuring games from our studios. I put up the picture so you guys can see it. Featuring games from our studios across Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios. Hope you guys can join us. Mark your calendars. The Xbox Game Showcase will be live streamed. This is on their website on June 9, 2024. Like our double feature last year with Starfield Direct, immediately following the showcase, we'll be airing a special deep dive into the next installment of a beloved franchise. We can't say much, so for now, we'll call it the Xbox Games Showcase, followed by Redacted Direct. They also follow that up by this will also be our first showcase featuring games from our portfolio of studios across Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and Xbox Game Studios, in addition to titles from our third-party partners. You'll be able to enjoy both of our June 9 live streams live through a variety of outlets and in over 30 languages. Very cool. So, end quote. I've seen some things behind the scenes about this direct, but I really want us to put on our speculative hats here, because they released a picture, which I have on the screen right now. They mentioned the word redacted several times throughout the article and on this picture, but people researched and found the symbol is very similar, if not exact, of Modern Warfare 3. I believe it was. So people are speculating this to be the new Call of Duty. I'm very excited for this to be the case. If it's Black Ops or if it's the next Modern Warfare, we'll see what they end up doing. But yeah, I'm very excited for this show. I think I feel like Xbox is a monolith now with how many studios they have, and this showcase is going to prove it. All those people talking like that are kind of like talking down on Xbox right now, when they see this show, I suspect that those posts will be changing. So for some fans, it's been down for them in terms of the messaging. I've been pretty consistent what I think about that. I think a lot of people in the community are upset about the idea of what they want Xbox to be rather than what they are aiming to be. They have a ton of games, and as long as I'm able to play them, I'm looking forward to them. So to you, Mav, what games do you predict will be at this showcase? I'm sure we could talk about this for quite some time. And do you think the redacted thing is? Do you think it's Call of Duty? What do you think?
I think it's pretty much proven from people online now that it's Call of Duty Black Ops Gulf War. I made a post just like right after the thing dropped, like, what is it? And there's so much stuff out there like that just points to this being directly obviously Call of Duty Black Ops Gulf War, which I find is interesting. They're actually doing their dev direct with Call of Duty, right? I think it's not necessarily a bad move, but it is interesting and I'm wondering ultimately how that's going to reflect with the Xbox community, because it is like the big multi-plat Call of Duty game that we're used to getting every year anyway, right? That's what they're using the dev direct on. However, it's an opportunity for Xbox to really go out there full force and put Call of Duty synonymous with Xbox, right? It's going to be right after the showcase, and it is going to be blatantly Xbox all over the place when you're seeing this. And they're going to talk about, I'm sure they'll talk about how, they're still making this for everyone, and then all that kind of stuff too, a little bit, which will kind of rub some people the wrong way, I think. But you're going to have this show following what I'm assuming is going to be an amazing show, regular showcase, and then here is the brand new Call of Duty presented by Xbox this time. It's going to be a completely different flavor. We're not used to seeing Call of Duty presented in this way also. So it's Xbox's chance to market Call of Duty in their way, right? With Tina Meany, who has said that she's been working on this as well. So that is going to be different flavor than we're used to getting from Call of Duty. So that's going to be an opportunity for us to see it like, okay, how are they going to market this, right? How's Xbox going to market Call of Duty now? Because otherwise, you would have just had their normal like August, September big Call of Duty thing, and then just kind of go with that. But no, this is they're saying Call of Duty is ours. We're going to dedicate a large amount of time directly after our big showcase to our new biggest franchise in gaming, and present it in their way. So I'm excited to see ultimately what this is, how they present it, what they show, the behind the scenes looks, all those kind of things that we're used to getting now from these directs. But knowing that that's probably gonna be Call of Duty and all that stuff, I'm more interested in the rest of the show. Tom Warren has put out there that not only Gears 6 would be there, but also something else Gears potentially, as a little teaser on Twitter today. So I saw that. I saw Pong and Steel getting hype about it in our DMs, and that leads me to believe that all the smoke around this Marcus Phoenix collection has been real. People talking about how they know it's real behind the scenes in the podcasting community, I think are right on this one. And I think we're going to see that potential dream moment of getting a dual announcement of the Marcus Phoenix collection and Gear 6 at this showcase, which alone, that has me super freaking hyped for this. Then on top of that, I think we will finally see Perfect Dark at this showcase because of the hints that we got last year, after the last show. And then you're also going to see potentially some other amazing new game announcements. I think we're going to see Shattered Space for Starfield here as well, which I think is going to give the potential for people to get even more excited for Starfield, unless they do their own little separate thing for that, which I think would be worthwhile if they did that. I don't know what they'll do. So there's like so much they can show, man. The second half is loaded. I mean, we can count on, okay, Flight Sim, obviously, right? You can count on Towerborn probably being there somewhat. You know, obviously Indiana Jones, right? You have Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark has been teased that it could be there. Then you have what was the other games coming this year? There was one more. Well, Hellblade 2 is already releasing, right? Yeah. So it'll be before that. Yeah. Avowed, yes, Avowed is the other one. So Avowed will probably be there as well, right? So you have like 4 or 5 games that are dropping it in after June, right? So you have that. Then you have the Gears stuff that's being teased right now. We're being set up for potentially the biggest, best hopes and dreams type Xbox showcase that we've seen. We already saw Fable last year, so we don't necessarily need to see that. But I think we do finally see some updates on those other games. If Perfect Dark is ready to be seen here, we saw Fable last year. I think State of Decay 3 could be potentially at least shown again. Maybe we finally get to see Everwild because they showed the barn, right? So now we get to see the games they're making in the barn. So maybe we'll see Everwild. But yeah, there's going to be, I think, a really big show. I think we're going to have some other Activision Blizzard type teases. We'll probably have Diablo 4 expansion stuff here because they did talk about that BlizzCon is not going to happen this year. So any potential things we thought they could be holding for BlizzCon, I think we could have actually at this showcase. That means even potential World of Warcraft stuff. That means potential anything. You can really have anything at this show. It's going to be absolutely insane to see ZeniMax, Bethesda, Xbox Game Studios, Activision Blizzard, all in one showcase, and they're reserving Call of Duty for after the show, right? No. So it's a monster, bro. It's absolutely a monster.
Yeah. Now, do we? Maybe I'll save my question actually. I'll let Pong, so I don't steal anybody's thing. So Pong, to you, what do you expect to see at the showcase? And I'll save my question for after.
Yeah. I'll start here. First of all, hey, Magnum. I'm gonna pick on you a little bit here, Magnum.
Oh yeah.
Listen, we talk about this. It's showcase season. It's showcase season. Maybe you haven't. I don't know how long you've been around, Magnum, in our Fun Spec family. First of all, appreciate you being here, obviously, but we don't lower expectations here. That is a personal decision. Last year's show, we had super high expectations and they met those expectations for us. So that is a personal thing. The one thing you'll know about, I almost think to a T, all of us on the Fun Spec fam, we all go with high expectations. And again, if I am ever disappointed, it is on me, period, point blank. I will certainly have criticisms of shows and all that kind of stuff. But man, I go in with childlike glee into these shows. So when you come around us during showcase season, especially, you're going to hear some pretty big ideas about what these shows could be. But appreciate you being here anyways, Magnum. For sure. 1000%. All love and respect, man. As far as the showcase goes, the Call of Duty thing, which is obviously it is Call of Duty. There was some speculation and there was some stuff this morning. I thought Call of Duty right away. It just makes too much sense. I'm going to say, I will admit that I was a little mixed with this being the highlight, right? Being the after show direct, right? I was a little mixed with it. And for me, it's because it's it's Call of Duty, of course. Like from a business side, right? From a Microsoft Xbox side, what Mav just said is correct, right? It doesn't make sense. Of course it does. They are going to start. This is obviously now the marketing deals have run out, right? Eventually here. Maybe that's why it's still redacted, is because the marketing deal is still in place. But by this time in June, right? June 9th, that is done. And they can now fully market Call of Duty as their own. So from a business side, I get why you do this, why you make it your direct. Do I still wish it was a different game? Yeah. Do I still wish we were getting a highlight of something else that was going to be coming from first party? Yeah, I do a little bit. I wish that kind of Call of Duty was just be in the showcase, right? Itself, that the direct was kind of saved for something a little bit more quote unquote special for my standpoint, right? That's just my thing. But obviously I do think it's Call of Duty. It makes total sense. They are going to start the ongoing campaign to drive home the fact that Call of Duty is now Microsoft and Xbox, that they now control the marketing, that this is associated with Xbox and should be associated with Xbox. And obviously the cherry on top of all of this will be if they can announce that it's coming to Game Pass, right? If that is the case and they can announce that at the end of the direct, like, oh, by the way, we'll be Game Pass day and date. Yeah. That's going to be pretty big deal. So that part out of the way, I just had to say that a little bit because I was a little torn on that when I first saw it. When people started bringing up State of K3 colors, I was like, oh, maybe this is. I'm like, that would be freaking awesome.
The guesses I loved was the Division. It's not first party, but I love that people were guessing the Division because it does look like that, right?
Yeah,
but
like that.
And that would be amazing. But
it does.
Yeah, it's obviously not.
But as far as is for good Magnum, see, says, okay, Pong, I'll jump on the hype train. I hope Microsoft announces they are buying Square at the showcase. Choo, motherfucker. Let's go.
Let's go, Magnum. I'm going to want to ruin this.
That's
for
how
Pong.
you do it.
I want to ruin this for Pong. Cinemax Online's game.
I ruin enough stuff for you, Matt. We're talking. Awesome. I appreciate that, Magnum. Hey, again, disappointment's left up to you. It's the only thing you can control. So again, get as hyped as you can. But yeah, I think this show, we started talking about this even a little bit towards the end of last year, Mav, about what this showcase could be. Xbox has nothing to lose now. Okay. It's all out there. We kind of know the direction, the change of philosophy. They have now put this out there. The games are going elsewhere. Certain games will be. Again, I'm on the train that it's not just 4 games. They'll be putting more. We just heard Satya talking about how great it was to see those games trending on PlayStation, right? Like, listen, this is happening, guys. So it is what it is. Xbox is where it's at. It's not the direction I would have gone personally if I run it, but I don't run it. So therefore, I'm rolling with it. Again, I'm a gamer at heart through and through. They have nothing to lose here. They have admittedly waved the white flag on the console division, at least for now. They could possibly be going in a whole new direction with the console scene going forward. They're obviously still making the hardware. We know that. In fact, they're going to be adding most likely a handheld to this lineup. So they are free of any kind of chains that held them to the old way of thinking and the old way of doing business when it comes to showcases, when it comes to, hey, we got to kind of control this because we got to have these certain beats coming up when it comes to our console and all that that's all off the table. They're going for the whole pie. So what that means is, listen, if they're going to do a hopes and dreams, if they're going to give us not only a combination of what they did last year and show us the games that are obviously coming out soon and into next year, but they're also going to sell us on some stuff that's going to be potentially maybe lining up for that next gen console that's supposedly going to be the biggest technological leap ever for a generation, according to Sarah Bond. They're going to start teasing that stuff where people start forecasting, it's pretty close. That's 2026 probably. Oh, that could be the new console. If they want to start doing that, I'm all for it here. And I think they are. The fact that they highlighted, if you go read the Xbox post, they highlighted not only the Xbox first party, or the Xbox game studios, but they highlighted Blizzard is going to be there. We know Diablo has a big expansion. Diablo could have some, Diablo's going to obviously show, but could they have some surprises from Blizzard too? Could we get a StarCraft tease? Could we get something else kind of teased here? Certainly, right? And they went down. They said Activision's going to be there as well, right? Yeah. So obviously Call of Duty, right? But what else does Activision have cooking? We know Activision's got some other things cooking. And then you still got the Game Pass, the looming drop or start of a drop for Game Pass from Activision Blizzard back catalog titles. I think that's going to be here at the showcase. I think they're holding off. I think most of us expected some kind of drops by now. Yes, we got Diablo, but that was kind of like a holdover, kind of like, hey, we know you guys are expecting to see a lot of this stuff, but so here's Diablo 4, which is fantastic. But I think they're going to save the bulk for the showcase and really push that whole back catalog is coming to Game Pass and what that kind of rollout is going to look like. So I'm expecting all of that. Again, Mav knocked it out of the park with Gears 6 and obviously the tease today by Tom Warren that potentially something more Gears there as well, not just Gears 6. Obviously, the Phoenix Collection will be massive. Me and Steele are so hyped, as so many people are. But I do think that they are going to show us Clockwork Revolution. I think that we're going to see more of that potentially, because I think that's an early next year type of launch. I think I definitely think the Perfect Dark stuff is real. I think we'll finally get to see what has been going on for a very long time behind closed curtains with Perfect Dark. Shattered Space is obviously going to be there, like Mav said. The ZeniMax Online game has got 5 years, whatever this game is, It's massive. And if it's a licensed Star Wars, as we've heard, or licensed Marvel, if it's a licensed IP big online game, what are you going to hold until next year? Come on, we got to see something. Get people excited for this stuff. So I think we're definitely going to see that. I really do think this is the year they just lay it all out. Do I think we could get the Splinter Cell tease here? Yeah, I still do. I still think we get the Splinter Cell tease, and then Ubisoft, the Ubisoft showcase, or the Ubisoft Forward, or whatever it is the following day on Monday. They can blow out kind of what Splinter Cell is at their own show, but you tease it here on the Xbox stage. I definitely think that is in play here. I'm trying to think what else. Contraband's got to be somewhere too. That hasn't been canceled as far as we're aware of. Contraband, if it went under a rework, or if they've been redesigning it, or whatever the case may be, it's got to be ready. We first saw that 3 years ago? Tease.
Yep.
3. So it's time to show Contraband and give us a glimpse at that. And then obviously all the games that we know about, Towerborn, Flintlock's got to get a date here. Silk Song will obviously be at the showcase. I think that is a must. Do we finally get this get something like oh god, I just lost it. Why did I have it and I lost it? Because my brain sucks. What's the indie title? The cyberpunk kind of pixelated replaced.
Oh yeah,
Replaced has got to be here too as well. They have, and then Double Fine, whatever they've been working on. We know that they potentially have multiple projects. Double Fine's probably going to show up with one of their projects here and tease it as well. This could be the showcase to end all showcases. Mm-hmm. And I don't say that. I don't say that lightly. I mean that from the standpoint that this could be like the ultimate showcase where we get the current stuff coming. We get a look at next year's first half. And then they do gives us hopes and dreams for even further down the road and tease some things. I think we get surprises here. I think we get a couple of the unannounced games that we know have been in production for years. Id is showing up here. I'm calling it now. That's my call right now, that Id is showing up with whatever Id's been working on, whether it's Quake or whether it's something new or the Doom that we saw in the leaks, whatever Id's been working on. I think that's one of the surprises at this showcase. So, I think they're just going to let it all hang out here.
Do you think they're going to do a show that causes the community, all the people that have been ignorant, kind of or like not realizing everything Xbox really has been happening, to kind of take a step back and be like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah. Because I think there's just so much IP, and again, they've got nothing to lose, Matt. If we've seen it again, they're not pushing the hardware anymore like we thought they once would, right? With the ABK deal,
going to have hardware here too.
They're going to potentially, right? Yes, potentially they could have hardware here, right? But I'm just saying, like the current hardware, it looks like they're already ramping up to, or already saying, hey, we've still got a lot for this generation, but we're going to let the chips have fallen where they're going to fall with the hardware. We're looking big picture here. We're just going to announce all this stuff. They're kind of getting ready for that early 2026 launch that a lot of us are thinking is going to happen, where they dive into the next gen, whatever that's going to look like. So I just think they're going to start clearing decks, and I think they're going to start giving people glimpses at what they've been doing, what they've been working on. It doesn't matter if it's a year or two. They got so much coming out in the next year that we know about. They got so much coming out for the following 3 years that we know about leading up to that 2026 date. Some of those are going to be taken, I believe, and be like, hey, you guys just work towards this launch day when we're getting that new hardware out. You guys just work on that gen stuff, move these up there. But all this stuff can still be teased right now and shown off in its current form. And I just think they got nothing to lose. I really think they're in a win-win situation here, unless they were to pull back and do that 12-month deal that they did again, which I don't think they're ever going to freaking do again. But unless they did something like that, I think they're just going to lay it all out there and be like, hey, we're offering, to Matt's point, so much that it's undeniable now. We don't care who's writing about us, IGN or Game Rant or whoever is writing about us. They're going to have to respect that we have so much because we own so much IP. They have to take notice of us at this point.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what they're going to do.
Yeah. And it's been speculated for a while, like the last showcase, like, oh, maybe they didn't show these games because of the court case and a lot of reasons why they wouldn't want to go all out in the past few years. But now I feel like,
but now there's a whole separate direct just for Call of Duty.
Yeah, right. Now we got a whole separate direct for Call of Duty, and I do wonder if going forward, if that one big game per showcase, and similar to what they did with Starfield, is what they're going to start doing. Like you have the Xbox game showcase and then a big game, because it worked well for Starfield, and they're doing it again here. Like you have a whole showcase, bunch of games, and then have another one just dedicated to a large game. And this is what we talk about when we say Xbox is a monolith, because they have so many studios. They could just be like, we got one big game we could show like per year, You know, they really wanted to go
two
that
or
route.
three, they could really do it. 3-bit, they could
Yeah.
deep dive a lot of this stuff, even not the games that necessarily everybody is like, oh my god, it's so massive. They could start having smaller directs for just specialized games that need a little bit more attention or a little bit more love. Like, they've got so much on the table right now, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Eastside Vandal, we talked about Infinity Ward's rumored game years ago when it was a super deep rumor on X. Like, you had to be following one dude that I so happened to catch, and we talked about it on our show. Infinity Ward, for people who don't know, supposedly had a project in works. It could have been canceled. We don't know because it was never announced, but there was smoke from somebody who does have knowledge of Infinity Ward that they were actually working on a first-person RPG with former BioWare devs. Right. So that they had this project and it was going to be something really cool, like totally different. If that stuff is like the case, again, there could be stuff that nobody knows or has ever even heard a tease about that just suddenly pops up in some of these showcases where it's like, whoa, what is this? And I do believe that Xbox, again, they're going to be here. They're not going anywhere. But the fact is if they are going, they're one of the world's largest, biggest publishers right now. They've got the opportunity to do that kind of stuff that other devs and publishers just don't have if they want to. And I think that some of that stuff is going to come to fruition. I'm not predicting all of our dreams and all of our hopes and wishes is going to make it. I don't think that's the case. I still think there's a lot of business behind the scenes, but I do think some surprises are going to happen now, like on a yearly basis, stuff that we just never even thought of.
And I do wonder, Pong, and I do wonder if this is why BlizzCon was canceled, because I believe Blizzard will have a heavy presence here. It's like, hey, let's dedicate all of our resources into this one show rather than have BlizzCon or other separate shows. Like, let's just do it here. So yeah, I do believe that we'll see Blizzard here. We probably will see the new Doom here, possibly. I would love to this is just my hopes to see Tony Hawk. I want to see that come back and maybe a remaster here. I would love for that series to come back because I love Underground. And if they are going to announce like Call of Duty, we're announcing Call of Duty. They show the new game, etc., etc. At the end, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, all the Call of Duties are in Game Pass. That alone puts the show up quite a bit. They could just have Indiana Jones and another game they already announced, and that already makes the show very good to me. But we already know they have a lot in the works. So let's say they do Call of Duty, they announce it, and they're like, oh yeah, all of it is releasing Game Pass. And then also our catalog of Activision games are also in Game Pass. And that includes like a Tony Hawk and stuff like that. That would be the show. So we mentioned so many things that like we know certain things are going to be at the show. And just from the things that we know are going to be at the show, it's already an amazing show. Just from the stuff that we know are going to be there. Just like, why wouldn't they be there, right? And then you add that on top of the rumored stuff, that's one thing, and then the stuff that could potentially be there already makes the show like insanely good. So I'm looking forward to it. So Fuzzy, what do you think is going to be here at the show, and what are you excited for?
All right. Well, I'm one of those that was hoping it was the Call of Duty thing was like a thing of Division, like Division 3. I know it's way too early to even really announce or show anything Division related, or even Heartland really getting its own direct kind of thing. But yeah, there was a little bit of hope, with the it was either like $100 bill or maybe it's just a picture of the Capitol that patch was located over. But since it's not that, I'm glad to see that they're going to push Call of Duty. They're going to advertise it, so we know all of those contracts have expired, like you guys have said earlier. But on the main showcase, like, I think as long as we get release dates for what we saw at the Dev Direct earlier this year, so something for Indiana Jones, something for Avowed, something for, like, let's say Flight Sim 2024. I think those are the easy low hanging fruit. But do want to see something for Perfect Dark, just for the fact that we've heard rumblings that people have been doing play tests and it's a certain way and it's pretty close or it's pretty much ready, just polishing kind of stuff. So hoping that should definitely make an appearance. But I also want to hear or at least see some of the partner games like Contraband or the Shaolin project, like that Wu-Tang game. I definitely hope that finally makes some sort of appearance, even if it's like a shadow drop type of thing. I just want to see it, come to fruition kind of thing. I know they had a project with IO Interactive, but then I don't know if that changed to be a multi-plat or if they still had a project with them or not. But looking to see if that IO Interactive partnership thing makes an appearance or we get to see something of it, because it's been at least 3 or 4 years at this point since we first heard about it.
So many games, like
bro, there's so much
that you guys are bringing up that I completely forgot about.
Yes,
and it keeps going. So it's just like they could really do. They have a good problem. Let's just say that.
Oh yeah,
they have a good problem of having so many games that they can dictate what they want to show for this showcase. So.
Yeah. And I'm thinking if they do go into 2025, I think we do get to see Fable. But if they're going to show Gear 6, which I'm predicting is like a 2026 title, like 2026 is supposed to be the year of the sixes, or at least that's how I see it. GTA 6, Gear 6, maybe Elder Scrolls 6 at the end of 26, and then Forza Horizon 6, like, full on Japan, new engine, only on the series consoles, and then whatever comes after for 2026. So it would be like a cross-gen title type of thing. I'm hoping we get a sneak peek at that. And I see Jason Ronald, being hyped about the show, and he's a big Forza Horizon fan, so maybe that's a slight hint that might make an appearance at the showcase as well. But I mean, there's just so much. I think as long as I hear a date for Indiana Jones and Avowed, everything else is gravy at that point. But I would like to see get a release date. I would like to see Silk Song get a release date. Maybe we even get Hades 2 as an early access thing, since it's coming to PC early access. Maybe we tend to sometimes get the early access stuff on Xbox as well. Maybe Hades 2 makes an appearance on the platform, or makes an appearance at the showcase. And I gotta shout out Cole in the chat. Like, I know WB has been working on something for a while. When do we get to finally see Wonder Woman? And does this showcase have Wonder Woman on stage, kind of thing? Like, it's been in the oven for a bit. I don't know where or how far along the stage is, but that would be like a perfect additional superhero that we have. At least making its debut on the Xbox platform, or at least on the stage and stuff. But there's just so much. Like I agree. Since the Rare showed the barn, and I said it would be a perfect location to make Everwild or complete Everwild. Hey, hopefully we get to finally see what Everwild winds up being before games like what was that one that was from the indie showcase or the ID at Xbox? Like, was it Far or something?
Fair, yeah.
Fair, yeah. Like, if they don't hurry up and release Everwild, or at least get that engine going, kind of thing, there's going to be somebody to beat them to the punch before we even really get to know what it is. But State of Decay 3, I'm still thinking that's a little further away, just because I know they had some Rocky Road stuff at one point with the former owner slash I guess the original founder that left and went and started another studio and left things kind of in somewhat of a shambles or something like that. But there's so much. And not to mention all the DLC and support or updates. Like, Shattered Space is one. The Diablo expansion. I'm also expecting something for Forza, like maybe the drag racing and drifting update, or even some additional tracks. So expect some additional content for that. Hopefully some additional content for even Fallout 76. Like, they love supporting their games. So I expect to see some of that there as well. So there's going to be a little bit of everything for everybody type of deal there. But my big things: date for Avowed, date for Indiana Jones, maybe even a date for was it Midnight or South? Was it
South of Midnight?
South of Midnight. Like, hopefully there's a date for that as well. Clockwork Revolution would be another one I'd like to see a date for as well. But hearing some things, it's I don't know. Do we expect there will be any I guess, what do they call them, shadow drops, or how many games do you think they're going to wind up showing overall? Like, I expect something like somewhere north of 12 to 15, maybe even more, kind of thing. So
well, they have like 30 games that they've been showing the last couple of years. So if they actually extend this longer, which the rumors that this is gonna be like, did they say how long it is in this reveal? Yeah, I don't think they did. The rumors were that they were going to potentially have a 2-hour show, which would be an extra 30 minutes. And if that's the case, that allows you for another like maybe 10 games. I don't know. So they could actually have like 35 to 40 something games here, bro. Like, which is insane, because if you actually look at the previous years, they had like 30 plus.
Yeah.
So it's nuts because they have all the ongoing games, right, that they are going to update us on. They have all of the games we already know are coming in the next year or so, right? And then they're also going to reveal games that we haven't seen before, because they do that every summer show also. And then you have a whole separate show afterwards just for Call of Duty.
Right.
And then you're going to have hardware potentially here, because Sarah Bond kind of alluded to that. I'm like, my expectations are not going to be in check going into this show. Like, I'm sorry. If anybody wants me to not get overhyped for this, I have there's no way it's going to happen. This is probably going to be the most hyped I'm going into a showcase ever, because we're going into this now with Xbox. ABK is part of the family. ZeniMax Bethesda has been cooking stuff for a while now that we have not seen yet. All of these studios that Xbox acquired back in 2018 to 2019, and even before before that, have been cooking stuff. A lot of these third-party deals they made with other companies, they've been cooking. All of these things are happening, and we are getting them all sooner than later now. We have gotten through that time, right, that it's taken for the bulk of the development of these things. So
we might see Double Fine here too.
Double Fine could have some new announcements, bro. 100%. Like, we don't know anything like about what. I mean, even just like with Gears, that's enough to get me excited just alone with that rumor,
And
like,
Zach Riley in the chat says, what about if they announce new acquisitions too?
Certain Affinity or like something like that, or
I mean, if anything like that happens, I mean, all bets are off at that point. If they're back in that mode, like now, like that would be crazy. Like I'm all for it. You guys know, bring it on, man. I mean, now it's Square right there on the stage. Just bring out Square.
We've acquired Square and Sega to make this new company called Sega Soft.
Nah, Xbox East. We're going. Xbox East is in play now. That's what it's going to be. Like, why not? Just do it.
Yeah,
that would be.
It was crazy. Is we're having this conversation when for the last 4 months people have been like, "Oh, Xbox is in trouble." Xbox is like, and it's like
that's never been the case.
And this is the thing I've been talking about for so long. It's like, how can you know all of this stuff is in the works and in development and see what they're doing and know that they actually just acquired one of the biggest gaming publishers, and they're about to have showcases that are going to showcase all of this stuff and be concerned.
Xbox is dead.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm pumped. We're gonna have some amazing stuff in store. I like Fuzzy's call out for Fallout 76. Because Fallout hype is immense right now. But also Pong alluded to Ubisoft potentially showing Splinter Cell there, which I think could be a big thing. They have the marketing rights for Star Wars Outlaws, so I expect that to make some kind of appearance as well.
And that showed first on the showcase. If you guys remember, Outlaws showed first as a tease at the showcase, and then followed up with Ubisoft, kind of blowing it out at their own on the following Monday. That's why I say same thing could happen with Splinter Cell. They got a great relationship with Ubisoft right now, so I think it could happen, man.
And with their track record of how they've done their big marketing deals before, like they did with Diablo before they owned ABK, like it showed at all their big shows, right? Every time. So I would expect Star Wars Outlaws here. But then, like you said, like Splinter Cell, we're expected to see that at the Ubisoft Forward. That's already been rumored and teased that it's going to be there. So if it does finally show up this year at the Ubi thing, then whoever's marketing rights they have for Splinter Cell, it's probably going to show up at that show. And I would hope if you're Xbox, you don't let that go to PlayStation because of the history with Splinter Cell and the Xbox brand. It used to be one of the tentpole kind of characters way back in the day in the original Xbox time for Xbox, and to potentially bring that identity back home with the Xbox again. Also, Ubisoft Plus is only on Xbox. It's not on PlayStation as well, so they have that relationship. Like, go big on Splinter Cell at the Xbox show if you are finally revealing it this year. I think that would be massive, and alone that is a moment that will make a lot of people happy. There's conversations about Splinter Cell that I'm actually kind of really intrigued with right now. Some people, I got some kickback on it, right? About the potential gameplay elements they're going to be implementing here using some of the new tech. And I'll just say that, like, all you guys know, I have not been a fan of ray tracing because I've seen it as a more of a gimmick and all this kind of stuff this entire generation. But I read an article based on some rumors and leaks from a predominant leaker that if they implement this kind of thing into Splinter Cell using ray tracing and the way they're talking about implementing it, that could be something that actually has me intrigued with that technology finally. Because
it'd be annoying as F.
Or that. Yes.
How did he see me? What?
Right.
Freaking little random reflection somewhere off in a corner.
It just, for me, like in the back of my mind,
it's a great idea. It's
playing the original Splinter Cell games and knowing the methodicalness and being people being aware of you and the sound,
the light meter,
and the lighting and all that kind of stuff. If you're going to implement ray tracing in a game and it affects the gameplay in that way in a stealth game, that has my mind going in interesting ways because it fits with something like Splinter Cell, right? So I'm a little intrigued there, not for the graphics of it, even though that would be really cool too, but the gameplay elements that it could bring to Splinter Cell is like absolutely awesome. Yeah, probably.
And a game like Splinter Cell relies
PC.
on like, you being PC. A game like Splinter Cell relies on you being in the dark, and lighting is almost key for that game. So it's like a feature in the game is to blend into the darkness and stuff like that. So ray tracing could definitely give it that extra.
As a game developer, 3-bit, like, does that sound like plausible? Like
what? Well, what I didn't see the exact thing. Was it just like that the ray tracing of the goggles, like
ray trace audio, plus also ray traced environment with shadows and lighting and reflections.
And the AI will notice the reflections.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That's cool. Oh, okay.
You see what I was getting at here? I never gave it like if you just talk about there's a reflection. I don't care. But if you're talking about
on the wall and then there's a puddle down and then the guard looks down and he sees that's sick.
Right.
Actually,
or shadows,
I really like it. Yeah. That's cool, actually. Yeah, heck yeah. let's do that. That makes me excited if that is the case. I do wonder what engine they would be using.
So they're using Snowdrop.
They are using Snowdrop. So
best engines ever.
Snowdrop. I wonder what updates they made to it. Snowdrop is an amazing engine,
bro.
What an engine! That's the same thing they use for Avatar. Right?
Is a UE5 stan. I am a Snowdrop stan. I freaking love
Snowdrop. Is amazing. The amount of detail. Are you alluding to the fact that Snowdrop is not very good with ray tracing? 3-bit.
No, I'm just like I haven't seen huge ray tracing things in Snowdrop. So I'm wondering what.
Didn't they do that for the Division update? Wasn't there some?
It is like some
or was I wrong?
reflections, right? Like with
Yeah,
the
some
car.
reflections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they've done like some things with. I was just trying to remember with that engine, like how deep they got into the ray tracing.
It's never been a prominent feature.
Yeah.
And this will be a much more like isolated type game. At least I'm hoping, like smaller scale environment, going through buildings and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, that's a great engine. It's definitely capable. Was the Avatar engine also? Was that
was Snowdrop? Yeah.
All right,
that's gorgeous. that game is beautiful.
Absolutely. Say what you want about that game, like visually, I was like on Pandora. So, yeah, I'm ready.
Level and detail in Snowdrop is just freaking unbelievable.
Absolutely insane. So that's going to transition to our last topic of this show, which is actually the Starfield DLC. So Todd Howard, he was basically saying, he said in an interview with VGC, this comes from an article from Rock Paper Shotgun, a big update that's coming really soon, and that we redid the map stuff and we have some city map stuff. So I think it's pretty almost self-explanatory. If you played Starfield, one of the complaints of Starfield was the map. Trying to figure that out didn't really bother me when playing. But hey, he said they're gonna update the map stuff. Cool. And also I do wonder what is going to be in this DLC, whether we see new worlds or how they're handling maybe extra ships, or I don't know. What do you guys think they'll do with this Shattered Space DLC? I mean, from his quote, he says a big update that's coming really soon. We redid the map stuff. We have some city map stuff. That's kind of the gist of what we got with those quotes. Pong, I know you're like the expert and just like kind of looking at news relating to Todd Howard, the god Howard. So I was wondering, what do you think is coming to this DLC?
I actually watched Greg and Kind of Funny for once, just because Todd Howard was on there. So I mean, again, I watched the whole interview. Normally I won't. Whatever. I won't get into Kind of Funny. Anyways, so I watched the interview. So just to clarify, Shattered Space is coming later in the fall. So Shattered Space is separate from the update that he was talking about. The update is coming sooner. He said it was going to be dropping into Steam in the beta builds. That was going to be dropping sometime this week, he thought. So it should be launching everywhere, he said, fairly soon. Shattered Space will be coming towards the fall. I saw Tom Warren today in his article about the Xbox Showcase predicted that said that he thinks or knows, whatever you want to say, that they are aiming for September for Shattered Space. So that'll come separate. But the update that he was talking about with the maps and that kind of stuff, he also said that they are going to add new shipbuilding stuff as well. A lot of people have been asking for more options in the shipbuilding. They're adding to that. He also said in the interview that the official mod package and tools are going to be coming soon as well for the modding community, because those actually haven't dropped. But he said that they actually are going to be much better than even their other tools that they've had for Elder Scrolls and Fallout, because they pre-planned it out this time because they know how important it is to the modding community. So they kind of built Starfield around that. So he said these tools are going to be even more impressive as well. So I think this update they're doing, and he also said that they're going to have new options for consoles as far as resolutions go, display options. So what that means, we'll find out. Are we suddenly going to magically get a 60 frames mode? We'll have to wait and see. But he did say new display options for console owners, which means there could be some potential, maybe a 40 frames mode. We shall see. So yeah, he gave a lot in this interview. And Greg pushed him. I know I heard Colt the other night saying that he didn't like how Greg pushed Todd a little bit, but I think that's the job of an interviewer. So as much as I don't like Greg Miller, I do think that he did it right. If you're going to be a journalist, and did push Todd. a little bit. And Todd was reluctant in some ways, as he should be. There's some things he's not going to give up, but he gave up a lot of information here. So I'm excited. Again, to jump back into Starfield. I've jumped back into it a couple times here and there now. I've got almost 400 hours, not even close to finishing it. The first playthrough, don't care about New Game Plus really. I think it's interesting, the concept that they did, and I've seen some people do some amazing things. But I'm just enjoying my time in Starfield when I hop back into it. But obviously, this kind of stuff will get me to fire back up again. Again, I got Ghost of Tsushima coming up. I always gravitate around, but Starfield is just starting. They have a plan to continue to build upon what they started with Starfield. This is what they do with all of their games. Again, suddenly people are realizing now with the Fallout show, going back to Fallout 4, that the Bethesda makes damn good games. And there's a reason why people still talk about them a decade on later, why people still play them even 2-3 decades on later, because they make great games. And all the complaints about Starfield, well, people are playing Fallout 4 and not having those complaints. Funny. It's not outdated when you go back and play out Fallout 4, is it? It seems like a pretty damn cool game, right? Oh yeah, that's because Bethesda makes award-winning generational type games. So Starfield, they're going to continue to build upon this. And I think they are listening to community feedback. And I think they're going to slowly add to it. And then once the official mod tools get out, I think you're going to see it even explode more, because a lot of people will put in some of the stuff that people have been requesting, like maybe potentially vehicles and that kind of stuff will get added. Even if it's not added by Bethesda directly, it'll show up in there for those people that do want to have that experience. But I think Todd and his team are putting a lot of effort leading up to Shattered Space. I think the Shattered Space DLC is going to be a pretty big one by the way Todd's talking about it. And I think he's got a lot of plans. Again, he wasn't giving away everything, but I just think he sees the kind of open palette, what I want to say. I just want to say that I think Todd sees the potential for how much he could add to Starfield over the years. And I think they're going to have a team kind of work on this stuff full time. It's not going to be their massive team because they still got to, do Elder Scrolls 6 and they still got to do Fallout 5 after that. But I think Starfield is going to be a continuous project that they go back to. But this first patch, I think, is going to address a lot of the issues that people had with some of the minor stuff, especially like the maps and that kind of stuff. You brought it up 3-bit. So,
right.
But I'm expecting good things from Starfield, as I do with all of their games. Like, again, I'm a Bethesda fan. So
yeah, same. No one does it like Bethesda. I always give credit to that team just because there's no other game like a Bethesda game. I don't know how else to put it, but there are games that sort of dive into the RPG space, but what Bethesda does is unique. And the criticisms of it, I always felt like it was for a majority of reasons that had nothing to do with the game. It was more so like punishing for what they wanted the game to be.
Yep.
And they punish it for being a Bethesda game. Like, oh, I expected a different game. And Todd acknowledged it. Todd acknowledged, because Greg asked him about that actually, and that was this is why I love Todd. Right. Todd is who he is, and he's not going to change for anybody. He doesn't have to. He's Todd Howard, right? And he talked about it. He said they knew going into Starfield that it wasn't going to necessarily hit with everybody because they were doing things differently, but that they felt that they were giving people that did enjoy Starfield an experience that they really couldn't find anywhere else. And they wanted to do it this way, but because it was so big, because they decided early on, they wanted all the planets to be able to land on and explore, that they just kind of knew that was going to be the sentiment around a new IP and around a different way of doing a Bethesda type game. But he said, we're going to continue to make Bethesda games, right? I mean, again, he didn't say that directly, but I'm just saying that's, and it was great in the interview that once again, he explained what a Bethesda game is. And he said, it is first and foremost a game where we want to allow the players to do as many things as possible. And we always ask, can a player do this?
can we make it happen so that a player can do this? And that's what he said the game is about. The game isn't always, their games aren't about a set narrative per se, even though they have obviously a narrative and they've got a story and they've got side missions. It's not about that. It's about allowing the player the freedom to go be the person that they want to be in that world. And again, I don't know how many times he has to do these interviews and say it to people to get it through their head. There is no other studio that does it quite like Bethesda. There are some people who come close. There's some people who tried, but there is no other studio that does that part of an RPG, the exploration and allowing you to role play as you want to in that world better than Bethesda, in my humble opinion. Period. Point blank.
Yeah, facts. Mav, so from that interview, from your time with Starfield, I've seen some people in the chat talk about like, oh, it'd be cool if there was like a space station, like your friends could dock in and stuff like that. What do you kind of expect from the DLC? And I'm sure, like, just jumping from our conversation from the Xbox showcase, it's probably going to be there. At least a trailer of it at some point. It was probably why he was kind of being secretive in that interview. What do you think?
I think we're probably going to see things that they originally had the ideas or wanted to put in the game that they weren't able to get into the game at launch. And generally, that's what we see in a lot of these expansions at first, and they'll probably talk about that. And I think they're going to keep adding things. The cool thing is they're going to do an update before the expansion that is going to actually have some really cool stuff, like you talked about the city maps and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree. It really didn't bother me too much, but that probably is something that could have been there at launch. It's kind of like an expectation for like city maps and RPG, right? But like, it's cool. We're finally getting it now. And we're getting some other cool features and some surprises. So that intrigues me, whatever the surprises are, right? But generally what Bethesda's done in the past is they've listened to the community, figured out what's important to them, and they make that more of a focal point on what they bring to their updates, right? And I think the expansion is going to have the story stuff. I think the rumors right now are it's going to tackle heavily on the Varun. I think that's what the name was. Andresia's people, right? That race of people that are kind of isolated and secluded from the rest of the world. And that's a really intriguing thing. If you do Andresia's missions there that actually follow her story, like that whole aspect there, like this kind of cult type massive community that's formed in space that's been isolated from the rest of humanity is like really intriguing to explore that world. So I'm hoping that's kind of where the story aspects go. But I think part of the update's going to be like a lot of these like quality of life features, other kind of bigger things that people pointed out that, oh, this was missing at launch, or like we didn't like that. This, it would be amazing if we could do this. Like one thing that I think would be cool is like they have like a little scooter you could ride around in on the planets or something, or like maybe have a new faction show up, something like that to add more diversity to some of the to the worlds you're exploring, or with some of the templates that they have for those areas. New guns, I think you can probably anticipate that. New abilities, you could probably anticipate that as well. So I think the most important thing, like Pong was saying, is that like this is the start of something that's going to be a big thing for Bethesda for a very long time. And I see some really weird sentiment out there from people like, oh, just give up on it so you can do Fallout and you can do Elder Scrolls and stuff. And I'm like, you see the reception right now around Fallout 4 and Fallout 76, and the amount of people are playing Fallout. Right? What if they gave up on Fallout 76 the year it came out? Right?
People said it was dead. Yeah. People said it was dead.
Yeah, it was like, why? Oh, the worst thing they've ever could possibly do. Right? Yeah, and it didn't launch in a great state. But you see how many people are playing that game now, how much they've added to it over time. And I know it's a multiplayer thing, right? But for me, they're kind of treating Starfield as this expansive universe that they're going to grow over time and keep adding things to. And it has more potential than any of them.
Yeah. In terms of gameplay, like Starfield is probably, it's not probably, it is the strongest out of like Fallout and of Skyrim. Like it's solid. It's a solid first person. Yeah. If you want to play in first person, but in general, it's like they put a lot of work into the gameplay.
I think in the future, people are going to look back and like see Starfield as different than the conversations that have been going on this past year. I think even after the Shattered Space reveal, they're probably going to see a flip flop. People are that up and down all the time on sentiments on things and stuff. And like all it takes is one piece of news, one trailer, one new thing to completely change the mindset of the entire gaming community to how something is all of a sudden amazing that was ass yesterday. Right.
Yep.
And I think overall, people are just going to realize, hey, this was always pretty damn good. And we're excited now that this is becoming the game that it always could have been. And I can kind of just read
Like Sea
in
of
their
Thieves, right?
Yeah, exactly. But what if they gave up on Sea of Thieves the first year that it came out? Right? Any of these games, even the Halo, you look at where Halo's at now with the amount of content that's in there. Well, what if they just moved on like a lot of people said they should have? Like there's so much cool stuff in Halo now. If you actually take the time to play and so much content there for the community that enjoys the game. Right? So if you enjoy Starfield, I think we should all appreciate the fact that they're still updating and working on Starfield because it's an awesome game that we're going to get to play for a decade or more, right? And I'm super pumped about it, dude. The other intriguing thing that you didn't mention was that the openness to allow other people maybe to work on their games and work with other studios, which is kind of contradictory to past statements that Todd had made. Where he wanted to be more in control of Fallout and the Elder Scrolls games. So I think with maybe it's a little bit of pressure from Microsoft, or maybe they're talking to Todd about how he can still be in control of these things, or trying to figure out how to work the situation out. But seeing what has happened with Fallout, with this resurgence, I think puts a new emphasis and a level of importance to make sure that you aren't waiting 10 years between games for a franchise, right? So I think Todd is going to actually, I don't know how much he wants it, but for some reason I have this feeling that Todd is actually going to ascend up the ranks more within the Microsoft gaming studios to be able to manage more of the studios and have control over his games.
Yep.
It's just a back of my mind possibility.
That was the other part of Todd Howard. He said he's not planning on retiring anytime.
No.
That he wants to keep doing this forever. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah.
I don't care.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
thank you. But yeah, no, I agree, Mav, that I think that they are going to work something out. I mean, obviously, it just makes too much sense. And I think Todd, as he gets older, realizes too that even though he wants these games to be straight Bethesda, and that's why like he likes to have controls, because he wants the games to remain that Bethesda feeling. And obviously Obsidian did a great job with New Vegas, and he put that to bed again, that that he likes what it was done with New Vegas. He really enjoys it, and they published the game, for God's sakes. He put that rumor to bed too. But I think that he gets older too. He understands time is not on everybody's side, and that includes the gamers. And that people would love to see more of his games, right? And that potentially working with other studios to make it happen with him still in control of the final product could allow that to be a reality, even if it's not the main line. He holds the main line, but allows other games to break in, like New Vegas. I think it's a possible thing.
And we're seeing this now more from Todd too, because like he had his footprint on the show, the Fallout TV show, right?
Yes.
And then also maybe he liked the experience that they had with Machine Games doing Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of hype around that game right now too. So maybe he's like saying, okay, I get
more open
quality control wise, we can still operate and make the games that we want to make, and then allow more different studios to get their feet wet in it.
Yeah, those are good points. And something I bring up with the Fallout show was he did wait for a while, right? He waited till the right person came along. Mm-hmm. Where a lot of people approached him to make the Fallout TV show, but what did he say? He was like, "No, we're gonna wait." But it was because everyone who kind of approached him, like, let's basically remake Fallout 3, make it a TV show. Where that's not really what he wanted. He wanted something that kind of expanded the universe, and the right partnership came along, and that show is amazing. And Xbox can dive into a lot of their portfolio and just make shows and movies out of, and that is complementary to the games. So you have the Halo show that can increase the Halo player base. You have the Fallout a TV show that can make people go back and check out the games as well, and they could just kind of, they have a lot of IP where they can do that with. Um, even Gears of War, that's being rumored to be something. Right.
2.
Yep.
Live action and anime.
Yeah,
Let's
which
go.
I'm excited for both. So let's go. Fuzzy, your thoughts on the Starfield DLC, some of the topics we talked about with Todd Howard or God Howard, sorry. To what he's essentially doing. What do you think?
I'm just glad that there's that continued support, kind of like what Mav was saying, for Starfield. But I don't understand why people would want them to give up on that game. Like I kind of
That's
understood the
that
sentiment
PlayStation
with
mentality.
I
They give up
kinda
on games.
Yeah, I kind of understood the sentiment with when it came to 76 just because of the release date, but you look at it now and it's come a long way from when it launched. But with Starfield, all of those quality of life updates that they're talking about are well needed. I enjoyed myself with the simultaneous 5 playthroughs. Only 2 are kind of broken at the moment, but yeah, I for me, I think as long as they find a way to patch the floor at New Atlantis, the landing space, because like right now I have a hole there because of the Crimson Fleet mission where I screwed up and went to my ship as opposed to just, I should have just fast traveled to the planet as opposed to the ship. That's what screwed me up. And then I screwed up with the Starborn. Like they weren't coming out the ship for some reason, so I decided to try to see if I could jack the ship. I know all the other times it says you can't open or it's locked or whatever. That time I made it in, and then ever since then, no enemies come out of any ships, and I have a Starborn ship I can't get rid of, and I can't go back to Unity. So it's like, oh, I'm screwed. So those 2 playthroughs are screwed. So hopefully those updates kind of fix those. Submitted a ticket on those a long time back, but leading up to the Shattered Space stuff, I'm looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to possibility of that Bethesda Online game being a online version of Starfield. That I think would blow a lot of people's minds. But the fact that he's willing to allow other studios work on some of their IP. I mean, that's kind of like what we've been talking about ever since the TV show for Fallout. It's like we don't want to wait until 2030 for a Fallout 5. I mean, even if it's like In Exile doing a remaster of like 1 and 2, which I think there would be enough of an audience that would like to revisit those with like modern controls and stuff, or even doing like a New Vegas 2 or some other location that Obsidian gets to, kind of craft. I think either one of those ideas would kind of carry us over until a Fallout 5 comes out. And I think, the fans would be happy. I think Microsoft as a whole would be happy, and probably Todd would be happy as well. I think I was one of those people that was probably afraid he would retire after Elder Scrolls 6 and then be like, I like this TV and movie thing. So I kind of figured that might be his next route, but it's good to hear that he is not retiring. And
I always thought
Kojima
would do that one day. He basically makes movies in a way, and he's so passionate. But yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of figured, well, maybe Todd will throw his hand into that arena as well. But he could probably still do that and still stay where he's at. Maybe move up the ladder a few more rungs and have more of like man in control over the IP as far as the writing, the directing, and all that stuff. Outside of the TV show, he probably wouldn't do the directing, but at least be like executive producer and stuff along those lines as far as taking care of that IP, as far as possibly separating the TV show from the game, which it sounds like he wanted certain things not done in the TV show because those are probably potential, ideas for Fallout 5. So, and you can always possibly integrate, because it seems like they've integrated some of the clothing in 76 or from the TV show into 76. I wouldn't be surprised, since the characters are supposed to be like 9 years after 76, or maybe 76 is 9 years after. I can't remember, but I wouldn't be surprised if they eventually integrate maybe some of the TV characters in as NPCs into that world type of thing. So I'm just glad that he's opened up to a couple of things as far as like the, other studios handling the IP or spin-offs of the IP. And I can't wait until Shattered Space. Like I've sunk probably too many hours into Starfield. Enjoyed myself as a pirate, as a space cop or space marshal, as a space marine, or and mixtures of kind of all the others, and even I forget what the other group is called. It's like the Japanese business that's maybe not so on the up and up as far as how they acquire their tech and stuff like that. Like all of those storylines were just so much fun playing through those. So yeah, maybe Shattered Space, and I know we've joked about this on like other podcasts and stuff, but maybe Shattered Space is like a Fallout planet or a Skyrim planet or something along those lines. Because I mean, if they don't do it themselves, I'm pretty sure when the modding tools reach the public, we'll probably see a Fallout planet. We'll probably or turn Earth into an actual Fallout world, and then have like a Skyrim planet and things along those lines. But the sky's the limit with those IPs, and I really want to see how this game progresses over the next 10 years. Like I know a lot of people still to this day enjoy Skyrim and all the mods and all the updates over the years and remasters and stuff. I want to see what it looks like as far as with Starfield when it hits its 10th year anniversary, how far along it's come at that point. Or if there's a Starfield 2 in the works at that point.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, in Fallout, that was a cool part. That was one of the coolest parts in the show for me, when they start showing the other vaults and the story of that vault, where they got to be the ruler of those vaults, so they had different rules per vault. That was such a cool I was just like imagining stories for all those different vaults and what possibly went on. I'm really glad they added that bit in the show. Kind of expanded the lore in my head for the other pieces. I do really want to mention the chat right now, because Eastside Vandal, Legendary Yobi, you guys are going in on this Starfield MMO idea. So I'm going to read some of it, and everybody who's watching in the future, definitely check out their chat conversation, because it's very interesting. I've been reading it, as I haven't been ignoring. I've been reading you guys chat, and I do appreciate everybody coming in. But Yobi was basically talking about getting to pick your own star system, using the creation engine basically, so you can make your own like logo. Kind of talked about like the shipbuilding aspect and other people visiting and your world. Yeah, super sick. I recommend just reading their chat conversation. And Bethesda, you're welcome. If you need some of those ideas, they have provided it right for you, because I would love to see a Starfield MMO.
Question for you, 3-Bit, while we're on this topic. What do you think this ZeniMax Online game is, a Starfield MMO or something else?
I have no idea.
Which means he knows, and he doesn't want to say.
Yeah,
Just chat. That means he knows.
I
know.
He
doesn't want to say a damn thing.
I know he knows what it is, but he won't tell anybody.
Right.
And that's why I asked that question. See,
you can talk to my lawyers, and they'll have the answer. But no, I appreciate everybody coming in the chat. And Mav always testing. Oh yeah, pause. I appreciate you guys. All right, we made it, gents. Appreciate everybody for coming on by. Cog, I know you couldn't make it to the show, brother, but thank you so much. We'll reschedule. It's no biggie, and I hope everything's going well with you. Health first, family first, all those things come first. So just it's fine. we can reschedule another show. All right, guys, let's get on out of here. Pong, please tell people where they can find you on social media. Thanks for coming on by, dude. And
absolutely, brother.
Yeah, tell us about what you got going on.
No, I was glad to make this show. I've been wanting to come on here, and obviously glad I could find a way to make this happen. Obviously, and thank you so much for the invite. Again, humbled and honored no matter whose show I go on, 3-bit, and to be on here with you guys tonight. Obviously, missing Cog, but obviously to have Mav step in, obviously just have like a mini Fun Speculation fam reunion on Pixelated Echoes. I'm all down for that because you know how much I love each and every single one of you. So I just, man, getting on here and talking with you guys, especially coming around showcase season and all this great talk and God Howard having interviews. Just a fantastic night to do this. And chat, you guys were absolutely incredible. Like 3-bit, I do a lot of reading and see you guys. And you guys always, this is one of the best communities out there. And I don't say that just to say that, I mean it, because this is what we wanted when we all started podcasting, all kind of got together, was the same type of passion, same type of energy that you guys all bring to all of our shows. So thank you all for being here. Love and respect to each and every single one of you. This is a part of my therapy session each and every week, and it means more than you guys will ever know, especially right now with real life. So just appreciate every single one of you. Otherwise, you guys know the drill. Pong Soul on X, formerly known as Twitter. Pong Soul on the Xbox. Pong Soul on Steam. Pong Soul on Epic. Pong Soul on GOG. Wherever you can find me, that's where I'm at. Follow me, and I will follow you back. Otherwise, you guys know how it goes down on Thursday nights with PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. That's right. Me and Mav will get together this week. We'll be talking about some of the same stuff, but there's other things going on as well. I'm sure Mav and I will get into. That happens every Thursday night over on the Fun Speculation Network, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time for PM in the PM. And then, of course, Friday nights, it's Xbox Ultimate, where the fam gets together. Never know how many are going to be there, who's going to be there, but you know you're going to laugh. And you know you're going to hear a lot of great conversation. So you got to join us for Xbox Ultimate on Friday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, Saturday mornings, it's Living Split Screen with my brother from another, Steel Rain. And you know how him and I do. Steel's got some big life changes coming up here, too. He's working on some stuff. He talked about it last weekend on the show. Might be a floating kind of show over the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays. We'll see how that all works out, depending on how his, situation goes down. But no matter what, this week we should be Saturday, 3+ hours, unless one of us has got something going on. And it's going to be live, raw, and uncut every Saturday morning. The Saturday morning cartoons, where we get the hype train rolling early. Choo-choo, motherfuckers. Join me and Steel, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And then, of course, Saturday nights, we did take off last weekend because PTK needed a little bit of rest, but that's okay. We're going to be back this weekend for another episode of the Shop Podcast over on PTK Blam's channel. That's right, the Shop Podcast, the best way to end your Saturday night along with Blam. It's this guy right here, Fuzzy, and of course myself. And I'll usually have a guest or two join us, but 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, the Shop Podcast. Listen, y'all, it's the golden age of gaming. It really, really, really is. Again, the nonsense, and if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If not, just ignore it, because get out there, play some games, play what you love what you play. There's way too much right now to enjoy. And I'll talk to y'all real soon. Again, thanks 3-bit and Fuzzy for having me on Pixelated Echoes. This was a fantastic show. I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, appreciate you for coming on, man. Always love doing shows with you. I don't get to do it too often.
Nope.
So
not like we used to, brother.
Like
we used to both be doing a whole lot more shows, man.
Yep. We used to be doing shows like almost every day. I was like on Boom Show. I would just I would jump around, but life is taking over. So I try to jump on as much shows as I can as time allows. So Mav, tell people where they can find you, brother. Thanks for hopping on. This is great conversations. I know I randomly messaged you like, hey, jump on, and then you did it. Appreciate you for coming on and me kidnapping you for a bit. Tell the people where people can find you.
Fun Speculation, that's where it is. I'll take Pong's 15 minutes and turn it into 10 seconds. No, Pong has the best outro in the game.
Yeah, he does.
Podcasting. And I think Fuzzy's right there with him. But yeah, Fun Speculation, Twitter, YouTube, all the fun stuff, and you can check us out. Appreciate everybody. We should have a fun show Thursday, Pong. I think it'll be good. Lots of exciting things to talk about this week. So, but hey, 3-bit. Also, I gotta just give props here, right? You do an excellent job hosting.
Thank you.
Yeah, you really do. I was talking
Yeah.
to Kate about it, like how like good you're doing with this show. You're like just killing it, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing, and it's great. It had Pick and Fuzzy for your co-host is like absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I
Thank-
appreciate that, man. Yeah,
love your show. I
it's-
absolutely really like it. Amazing.
Yeah, that means a lot. Thanks. Like, doing the show is always a lot. I have like a appreciation for people who do host shows. I was like, dang, it's, you know, you pick the guests, you figure out what topics you want to talk about, have the things appear on the screen. I don't know.
What?
Just,
What's all that?
yeah.
You just roll in
I
and you
know.
just do the show.
He's
like
trying
on
to-
Mad
like,
on
that's what
PM.
I'm saying.
That's
He's
what
He's professional.
It's just-
This is what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
like how you're supposed to do it, kind of. It's like PTK. Like a PTK, like it's like kind
Yeah.
of professional, right?
And so is Boom.
Boom.
Boom
Yeah.
booms over
Yeah.
the
It's like-
booms over the top. But again,
yeah, Boom is insane. He
right.
has like books
Yeah.
ready.
nah. You just do
Whereas-
like me and Mav or me and Steel. We just roll in, we just bullshit,
like,
and it
hey.
all works.
What the hell you want to talk about? I don't know. What happened? I don't know. Let's figure it out. All right, let's go live. Hey, here we are for the show.
Hey, I
That's
love
how
those
it goes for
conversations.
us.
Me and Mav literally dropping into the chair 2 minutes or even after, just like, hey, are you ready? Yeah, sure. Let's just go.
Yeah, like you're like, yeah, you know what we want to talk about? No. All right,
No,
let's go.
We'll
Let's
figure
go.
it out.
Yep.
Yep.
It does help, like sometimes, like when we're making conversations. Last thing, but like when we're making conversation in the chat, we'll say something, and they're like, "Oh, we sort of, you know, bounce off each other." But that's just because
Absolutely.
we've been
Yeah.
doing shows. Everybody in this panel and to the people in the chat, if you don't know, we've been doing shows with each other for almost like 3 years now.
Over
going
3
on.
years.
O-
Yeah, it's
over
crazy.
3 years.
Man. Yeah,
It's
it's
just
crazy. Bro.
Crazy to think about. So
Yeah.
it's very easy for us
Yeah.
to just to jump in. But no, I appreciate those comments, you guys. Fuzzy, get us on out of here, my co-hosts. Yeah, it's been a great conversations. Tell us where people can find you.
Oh yeah, always a great time being on here with you 3-bit, and always love being on a show with Pong and Mav. You know, this is like a family reunion kind of thing. So this was just a great conversation, getting us excited about the showcase. It's right around the corner. Stuff we're all looking forward to. Man, it's like the perfect time right now. Like whether you're playing indie games or AAA games, whatever the case is, this is what the hobby is all about. And just glad to be here with you guys to talk about it. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Greatly appreciate you guys showing up, interacting with us. Love some of those ideas. And yes, I'm one that would definitely be day one for Starfield MMO. But man, oh man, thank you for taking the time, checking us out. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words, Mav and Pong. Greatly appreciate your guys's thoughts and observations and feedback. Always love to hear it. For those that want to hear my rambles and rants or some of my crazy takes on Twitter/X, just follow me at fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Breakfast with Boom Friday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Double Barrel Gaming. And then later that evening for Xbox Ultimate on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the Shop Podcast, like Pong said, with Pong and PTK, and possibly a guest this weekend. But it's on PTK Blam's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then are we doing a Sunday show this Sunday or?
Yeah, we are doing it this Sunday, so we're going back to the Sunday.
Yeah, hope to see everybody in the chat right back here for Pixelated Echoes Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday evening. Hope to see you there. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks everybody for dropping on by. If you guys enjoyed this podcast, be sure to hit the subscribe button for the future listeners and our on-demand peeps. First off, you go this entire show listening to us for like 2 hours. We're all nerds just talking about video games. Bless you guys. If you agreed with us or not, let us know in the comment section down below. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Pixelated Echoes. Bye, y'all.